His rap.
What's up, everybody? Please make sure you know that this is a live stream. So after the fact, if you see it, just remember that I'm just reacting with my audience. Let's get into it.
Royalty.
What's up, New York?
And the king of a seemingly bulletproof billion-dollar empire. So Sean Diddy Combs faces losing it all after a series of lawsuits accusing him of sexual misconduct. Police this week raided 2 of his properties as part of a federal investigation into sex trafficking. The rapper's lawyers called it an ambush and a gross use of military-level force.
10 years from now, we'll still be on top. Yo!
Diddy says he'll fight to prove his innocence. But many are speculating that he's the thin end of a big wedge, even foreshadowing a Me Too moment for rap. Was he a misogynist?
In a way. He's selfish. He's a very selfish individual. He wants the spotlight on him.
One second, guys. I gotta do something really quickly. This Google Drive makes my computer run very slow when it's open. All right, we should be good now.
It's very much a shock. It's something that I have a hard time believing.
Diddy's always surrounded himself with young people that basically go out and do whatever he asks them to do. Abusive relationships go both ways, but of course, when you're a man, you're always seen as the villain, even if a woman attacks you first.
They did not need to come in guns blazing. Remember, even though he may be a billionaire, he also deserves a presumption of innocence. He's facing very serious allegations.
Well, join me now to discuss all this are the DJ and digital media mogul, DJ Vlad, and Mark Curry, the former Bad Boy Records artist who worked closely with Sean Diddy Combs. So welcome to both of you. DJ Vlad.
Sean P. Diddy Combs.
A lot of people have wondered for a while, since the Me Too scandal first erupted with Harvey Weinstein and developed various industries, why rap and hip-hop pretty well emerged unscathed. Do you think that what's going on now with Diddy is indicative of a sea change moment for rap and hip-hop?
Well, I don't think hip-hop has gone unscathed. I mean, R. Kelly is essentially hip-hop. I mean, although he sings, but he is overlapping with hip-hop. So this has been happening in hip-hop for a while. You're seeing it happening with Russell Simmons. So yeah, hip-hop has not been free and clear of this, something that everyone's had to deal with.
What do you make of what's happening with Diddy?
I mean, it's hard to say. He hasn't been charged with anything. I mean, it looks bad. I mean, social media is having a field day. They're calling him the diddler, and they're saying no Diddy whenever they say something questionable. But at the end of the day, it's not really up to social media or the public. It's really up to the authorities. And unlike an R. Kelly, Puffy has hundreds of millions of dollars, and he's going to be able to get the absolute best defense. And, you know, ultimately, we'll see what happens in the courtroom.
Mark Curry, you worked at Bad Boy Records. You know Diddy well.
Worked
with him for him. Are you surprised by the revelations and by the FBI involvement?
To me, it took me by shock because it's almost like karma. It's almost like what he's been doing. A lot of people accuse him of putting them through in life is actually it's his time to honestly have to go through the same things. So during those tribulations, what we had to learn was to just stay and fight and just do what you got to do. And so if he has the fight in him, like Vlad says, then, you know, we're going to say that he's guilty until he's proven guilty. I mean, he's innocent until proven guilty. And we let the justice system do what they have to do because it's people that's in place that get paid to actually investigate these things. So it was a shock, but okay. It's very much a shock. It's something that I have a hard time believing in.
What was he like to be around when you were working with him?
You know, it's his way or the highway. You know, very controlling.
I mean, to be fair, a lot of business people are like that, so that has nothing to do with anything.
He's a strong.
I don't think people want to. I don't care about his character. I just want to know what's going on.
Headed person. You know, it's cool working with him, but it doesn't create it doesn't create, like working with him and being famous with him and not having everything to go to along
Look at Eric Adams. What a dork.
with the show is this the thing. So he's selfish. He's a very selfish individual. He wants the spotlight on him. He wants to be a rapper. So really, he's a rapper and not a business. Bad Boy is a business. It's a label. So he's a rapper on the label. So he's not just a label. He's a rapper. So it's Russell Simmons is not a rapper, or you don't. So it's just one of those kind of situations. There,
Was he, from your experience, was he a misogynist?
Why do these dudes play in these words?
And before we do, let me ask you this.
I bet you he voted for Biden.
Can we break that word down right
and for
fast?
Eric Adams.
So I want everybody to understand what that word is. You asked a question. A misogynist? What is it?
Misogynist, yeah.
Okay, explain that word for me, please.
Well, misogyny is where a man would be instinctively, inherently hateful towards a woman because she's a woman. And a lot of people feel a lot of lyrics in rap music and rappers over the years
Piers can be such a liberal at times, bro.
have been brazenly misogynist because actually a lot of their fan base
Like, it's funny because Vlad's looking and you could tell he's like, bro, you dudes are like women, bro.
like them to be.
Yes, when you can say something like that, when you think about being famous and then you think about a female, sometimes a female can get the same energy that you get from being famous just by having her sexual organs. So yes, you have men that come in competition with women over their souls. So yes, getting into a woman's soul is definitely an accomplishment for a lot of people that say, hey, the females like me, I'm famous and I'm handsome, whatever. And then you get to enjoy those things with females. So yes, it's just something that comes with being a male, I think, and pursuing females.
But I guess my point about Diddy was, from your experience, did he treat women with respect or with disrespect?
No one gets really the respect. It's hard to get respect from someone who's on that level, such as the level that he's on. It's to get respect is something that they call you have to earn the respect. So in order to get that respect, you have to stand down on it and you have to earn that respect. He doesn't give respect, not to females, not to a lot of men, not to producers, friends. You can just tell by the way that everyone that's around him and what's going on in their lives. You have all of the artists that's been in prison, a lot of artists that are dead. So it's like, what has he done to help those people's families? And then when you look at that, that's what I would call respect.
DJ Vlad,
I mean, listen, to be fair, that's not his responsibility. That's not on him. And people were responsible for themselves.
I just wanted to talk about the sort of bigger picture here. Sean Combs is one of the most successful music artists, business people in the music business we've ever seen. I mean, he's a billionaire from a variety of different strands coming off his music. He's, for many people, I think he's a genius when it comes to both making music and for the business of music. And we live in an era where, because of social media, it's very hard when you get into the eye of a storm like this. It's very hard for him, a man we've just heard so compellingly from Mark Curry there, likes to be in control. You suddenly feel like you're losing control, and it's quite hard to control any narrative, and it's quite hard to keep that narrative fair. We all want to believe in innocent till proven guilty, but it's almost impossible, isn't it, with social media?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You're going to get judged one way or another. But then again, there's always just the news cycle of it all. If you look at last year, Kanye was getting canceled by everybody. He had lost $1 billion deal with Adidas, every major corporation from Universal.
Then didn't Adidas come crawling back to him, I believe?
So to even the hardware company he was working with to release his music dropped him. And now look, he has the #1 song in the country. Right? I mean, that's just undeniable. The #1 song in the country is Kanye West featuring Ty Dolla $ign, Carnival. So and that was put out independently. So it just kind of shows that people have a short memory, and if you put out something that people enjoy, they'll forget and forgive and just enjoy whatever art that you have. Just like, for example, Travis Scott, you know, when the whole, concert happened and the kids died, his album was put on hold, Nike delayed his sneaker, everything else like that. A year later, he put out his album once again. It went #1, huge concert, huge merch, everything else like that. People have a short memory. So it's really going to be what ultimately happens. And the only way he could really get canceled is if he gets put in prison like R. Kelly.
Mark, where does he rank Sean Combs? Purely on talent, where does he rank?
Purely on talent, I think he comes in probably around a 6 on a scale from 1 to 10. He's not talented because he's not much of a great creator. You know, he's a great spokesperson or a person to just be in a place.
Seems like he's a great businessman.
Of a thing, but not great as far as talent is concerned. And, you know, I wanted to reiterate one thing that you just was talking about. And we talking about this system that's called the blackball system, where what happens is if you don't agree with someone like Puff, then you're up against a big system that won't, like, for an example, when I first released the book in 2009, it was very difficult for me to get an interview on my own radio stations here in Atlanta because they said that he was spending so much money on marketing and promoting Ciroc and his liquors and his brands. So they was like, it would be it would be a conflict of interest. So it's a lot of people who are
nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
In positions such as Vlad. Vlad, I'm glad to be on this platform with you today, but I've always been waiting for you to reach out to me to say, Mark, let's do an interview.
Obviously, you're not anybody important.
I've done one with Sean Prez, but I was waiting on you. And it's those kind of things that we put in place that prevent from us spreading this information. We have to.
Look at Vlad's face. He's like, bro, I don't have to give you an interview if I don't want to. He probably doesn't even know who you are.
Know how to not do that. So a lot of the things that I see in that system, I see within you and I as well, or you and other platforms as well. And that's just something that we need to change. We should also stand by Puff during these times. We're not going to hold him accountable or guilty or say he's guilty until he's been proven guilty. And I think that social media has a very powerful play on the outcome of the situation. And if the situation comes out wrong and it's on the behalf of the social media's fault, then how do we address that? Because we should not let him go down just for what we think.
I'm sorry, this dude's a dork. I would not want to interview him. If I was Vlad, I would not ask this dude to come on for an interview with me.
Well, yeah.
That's just my
No, I think that's an opinion many people share. It's an ongoing problem. We see it time and again. Mark Curry, thank you very much indeed for joining us. We're going to be joined now by someone who might be able to answer some of the more legal questions, Mark Garagos. He's joining us in a moment. Vlad, just a reaction to what Mark was saying there. It comes back again to the innocent till proven guilty being so hard in the modern era that we're in. If you were advising Sean Combs, what would you advise him to be doing right now?
I think the best thing to do is just stay quiet and let the lawyers do their job. I think trying to interject and defend yourself in any type of way usually just backfires. So let the lawyers do their job. He has the budget for the best lawyers in the country, and they're going to fight vehemently on his behalf. So ultimately, if he just stays quiet and lets things happen, the uproar will start to die down. I remember the uproar over the whole Cassie lawsuit when he settled right away. It was just insane. But then, you know, over time, people kind of started to forget about it a little bit, and then this happened again. But ultimately, it's going to be up to him. He's still going to be rich. He still has a huge catalog. I actually disagree with Mark Curry. I think that Puffy is extremely talented. To be able to take someone like a Biggie, who is just an underground rapper, is overweight and has a lazy eye, and to turn him into a superstar, and to be able to do this with artist after artist, decade after decade, that's a huge talent. Just like a Quincy Jones. Quincy may not have played all the instruments on Michael Jackson's Thriller, but look what he helped put together. Right. So, yeah, that's my disagreement with Mark.
Well, I agree with you. And actually, I've met Diddy a few times. I've got to say, he was always extremely courteous and respectful when I met him. And I was quite surprised about how critical Mark Curry was, really, about him as a person basically
That's
implying
funny.
he's disrespectful to everybody, he's a control freak, etc. I mean, that's
Brad, how
quite
you
a
guys doing
critical
tonight?
picture he painted there. Let me bring in Mark Geragos, who's one of the top criminal defense lawyers in Hollywood.
So what do you guys think? What do you guys think about this whole situation? I'm still on the fence about it. I'm not too sure.
Mark, great to see you again. Where are we with this case? FBI now made a move on Sean Diddy Combs. How significant is that? And why do you think they've chosen now?
Well, I think that they're using, if you will, the civil lawsuits. And when I say they, I'm talking about the Department of Justice and specifically the Southern District of New York. They're using those as kind of a roadmap. And this was, frankly, a very daring move by them and a very quick move. Normally, with the feds, it's they move at a glacial pace. This has been at warp speed, and I think this is sending a message to potential witnesses that they better cooperate now, or it's going to get dangerous. I would believe that there are a number of people who are in the crosshairs, and that's the way the feds operate. So this is serious business.
And for those who've not been following the detail of this case, what are we talking about here? What is the crux of the case against him, and what is the potential jeopardy for Diddy in this?
Well, by reverse engineering it, you've got the Department of Homeland Security as apparently the lead agency here. If that's the case, then the allegations that are in the civil lawsuits that talk about trafficking and things of that nature are probably front and center. Yeah. And I say that because it looks to me, at least, based on, and I'm piecing it together, based on what I've seen, it looks like that's what they're running to ground to make sure that if that's what's happening, that they've explored it and at least have given witnesses an opportunity to respond. It really is somewhat over the top in some sense, because I don't.
Yeah, Vlad looks like he doesn't even want to be there at all.
I think that at any point he was going to flee or do anything else. They did not need to come in guns blazing, so to speak. I know that there's allegations of guns and drugs and things like that. But to give you a perfect example, yesterday
Nah, bro, better safe than sorry, especially if you're a cop, bro.
Were reporting that they had arrested somebody at the airport. He was fleeing in a private jet, all of that stuff that was coming out. My understanding is that he was planning on going on spring break with his daughters. And so that's why the airplane was there. And that the gentleman who was arrested and variously described as a mule, so to speak, it was nothing more than allegedly personal use.
What's up, Kat? How you guys
before we
doing
get
today?
all overheated, let's try and put it in context and remember, even though he may be a billionaire, he also deserves a presumption of innocence.
Yeah, and in fact, just before you joined us, we were talking about the problem of social media and how difficult it is to control stories like this.
Let me ask you guys a question. Do you feel like social media is a failed experiment?
It's when conspiracy theories run wild, whether it's to do with Diddy now, or whether last week it was the Princess of Wales and what was wrong with her and so on. And that brings me to an odd part of this story, Mark, which is Prince Harry being named in the lawsuit.
Okay.
Because apparently Combs is said to have drawn guests, it says, to his infamous parties through VIP associations with celebrities like famous athletes, political figures, artists, musicians, and international dignitaries like British Royal Prince Harry. That's got a lot of attention, a lot of headlines. What's the purpose of them including Prince Harry in that way, do you think?
I think it was clearly because they wanted to try to titillate. I mean, look, anybody who knows Sean knows he's been throwing a white party for as long as I can remember. I've actually attended the white party and met a number of people.
Oh, that's a little sus. You've been attending his parties, huh?
Well, there.
I mean, you need to be investigated, bucko.
There was nothing untoward going on at the parties themselves. He's done them in L.A. He's done them in the Hamptons. There's, the part of what is hard to reconcile here is some of these wild and frankly outlandish allegations with what you actually have as evidence or no. And I've been around, and in full disclosure, I've represented him on multiple occasions, and I haven't seen anything that would suggest kind of the titillation or the outlandish kinds of allegations that I've seen floating around. But Piers, you make a great point. 10 days ago, we were seeing some of the most outrageous things about the princess being floated around on social media, and it turns out all of those were dead wrong. I can't tell you how often I see that with clients and situations I'm involved in.
I mean, Prince Harry's front page of a few newspapers over here in the UK. If you were him, how
you guys all doing tonight?
would you be feeling about being dragged into this on such what appears to be such a spurious context?
Well, when you see one of the lawsuits that was filed where they compare one of Diddy's employees to the version of Ghislaine Maxwell, so they're trying to draw that, and then if you throw in Prince Harry, then you get the reminiscent of Andrew with Epstein. So I understand what's being done. It's a very creative use of the legal process in order to draw the attention, and to some extent it has worked so far, because you now have the feds going full bore in his direction.
This dude's sus.
DJ Vlad, talking about Diddy's circle, the people around him, he's obviously very rich, very successful. What kind of team does he have, to your knowledge?
I mean, Diddy's always surrounded himself with young people that basically go out and do whatever he asked them to do. I remember when I was on Drink Champs recently, I talked about an incident years and years ago where we were at a club and Diddy was there as well as me. And a guy that was working with Diddy approached me and said that Diddy really liked my jacket and asked if he could buy it off me. I said, no, thank you. But that's the type of things that he has people
Vlad,
do.
you're wearing it now?
No, I'm not wearing it now. I don't have the jacket anymore.
I do like that jacket, so I'm just asking if it's available.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I dress nice. But yeah, no, Diddy offered it. He said, hey, Diddy loves the jacket. He's asking if you want to sell it to him right now. And I remember it was like winter outside, and I said, no, thank you, man. No, thank
you probably could have got a good price in that moment.
Maybe. But I think just taking off my jacket and selling it to another man right then and there just felt a little too weird for me.
But what is your sense about what kind of person he is now? Diddy, now he's made his money, made his wealth, made his fame, made his fortune. Has he changed from what you hear? Is he still the same guy? Again, I come back to what Mark Curry was saying, painting quite a critical picture of this guy. A control freak, disrespectful, treated everybody pretty much as lesser individuals. Is that your sense of Diddy, and is that what you hear about him?
Well, I don't really know Diddy. I interviewed him 10 years ago when he was first launching Revolt. I ran into him here and there. Ultimately, people are going to be people. I remember I had a conversation with Roger Bonds, who used to be his security guy, and we were talking about the whole allegations of abuse with Cassie. And what he said, what he personally saw, was that he'd be in the car with both of them, and then suddenly Cassie would punch Diddy in the face. And then Diddy would jump back there, and they would start scuffling and everything else like that. So, he's going to have messed up relationships just like the rest of us. Abusive relationships go both ways, but of course, when you're a man, you're always seen as the villain, even if a woman attacks you first. You see what's, 15 years later, Chris Brown still can't.
Oh, that's so true.
Perform at NBA celebrity games because of the whole Rihanna story. So it's one of those things. I think ultimately he has calmed down quite a bit and he has mellowed out and so forth, but I think men are going to be men and people are going to be people. And if pushed to a certain direction, people are going to react how they're going to react.
Mark Geragos, you've acted for him. What kind of person did you find him to be?
Look, he is intense and he is hard driving, but you can say that, Piers. And in fact, I was watching a little bit about one of the other people that you've talked about. I mean, that goes with the territory. I mean, people who are successful share a lot of the common traits. One of the things that the picture that is being painted is not something that I have seen or experienced, and I've spent hours and hours over years representing him on various things and just haven't seen it. I mean, it's almost a caricature. Also, and to your question, the people that he surrounds himself with, I've known, met, and consider many of the people around him the highest quality people.
Man, I'm sorry, man. This dude that is speaking right now, he is extremely sus. I'm sorry. And I think they know it because he's like just talking too good about him. You know what I mean? I understand you might know the dude, but like you've been to his parties, and maybe he's a part of this. You never know. Let's find out.
I won't mention their names for fear of having them get into the crosshairs, but I can think of 2 or 3 off the top of my head who I just think the world of. So I'm not so sure that the picture that is being painted has any relationship whatsoever to the reality here. I understand that we live in an era where it is, you mentioned Chris Brown, and I represented Chris Brown in that incident with Rihanna. And Rihanna quickly, for those who don't remember, actually came to court to support Chris during those proceedings. I was there. She was at my office. We went to court. And, there's a forgiveness in the personal relationships that somehow doesn't seem to kind of spill over into other situations. In Diddy's case, some of the things that I've heard are just so over the top and bear no connection to the things that I've seen personally that it's hard to reconcile.
If he is convicted of these kind of offences, sex trafficking and so on, they're obviously very serious. What kind of jail time could he be looking at?
Look, I always hesitate to speculate on things like that. I remember a client once, when my father was alive, he was my partner, and the client asked him, how much time can I do? And he told her, and she came running into my office, your daddy scared me. And, I don't want to answer honestly. He hasn't been filed on. I fully expect, based on what I've heard so far, that we aren't close to any kind of a filing. So I'm not going to speculate, because generally in these kinds of cases, the prosecutor holds all the cards. I mean, that's one of the I guess the beauties and the detriments of the criminal justice system federally in America is that the prosecutor can stack charges in such a way that you can go away for the rest of your life. It's a daunting amount of responsibility that a prosecutor has, and you always hope that they're going to exercise that responsibility in a way that they're not going to overshoot the mark, so to speak. He's facing very serious allegations.
Well, no shit. It's human trafficking. Of course, it's very serious allegations.
Facing incredibly serious, kind of daunting, if you will, charges if they end up being filed. As of right now, the allegations are what are contained in a search warrant that is probable cause. Probable cause, I've joked before, I think actually with you, Piers, many years ago, that it's devolved to the point where I just say, is my client breathing for probable cause? Right. So we're not at a situation where somebody has been post a probable cause proceeding where you've been able to test the witnesses and the evidence. So I would tell everybody, take a deep breath. Let's see how it unfolds.
Yeah. Mark Garagos, as always, brilliant.
I mean, that's everything though, right? Have a wait and see attitude about it. Here, let's check this out. So, this is the aftermath of the raid.
All right, take a look at this. A brand new video showing the aftermath of Monday's raids on the LA and Miami homes of music mogul Sean Diddy Combs as part of an ongoing federal human trafficking investigation. Our next guest previously defended Mr. Combs in 2015, where serious felony charges were dropped. Attorney Mark Garagos joins us live right now. Mark, good morning to you.
Morning to you too.
So, what do you think's going on?
Well, I think clearly the feds have taken notice of the kind of raft of lawsuits that have been filed. They're using those as a roadmap. And the cynic in me would say that they aren't getting witnesses cooperating the way they want, and so this is a great way to kind of deliver a shock and awe message to anybody connected with Sean that this is we're serious and we're coming after him, and you better cooperate or you're going to be left in the wake. By the way, this is almost warp speed when it comes to the feds in terms of when they open an investigation and when they do.
I was just saying earlier, I feel like this happened within like 3 days, like they moved.
Do this kind of a search.
Right. And Marcus, you know, this particular unit that did the raids, they're in charge of human trafficking crimes. So do you connect those two?
Yes, I don't think that there's any doubt in my mind, at least, that the Homeland Security is leading the charge here, and that the allegations would seem to mirror exactly what has been alleged in a couple of these lawsuits. Right. So, like I've said before, and they've taken a look at the lawsuits. They're using that as a roadmap, and they're engaging in this kind of activity to claim to want to freeze his electronics. I think his lawyer, and I think you mentioned you may have the statement, I think his lawyer came back and has complained bitterly about it.
Well, perfect transition. Let me read the attorney's statement. They say yesterday there was a gross overuse of military-level force as search warrants were executed at Mr. Combs' residences. There is no excuse for the excessive show of force. And
I mean, you don't know what people are capable of inside the house. Why wouldn't you? I mean, it wasn't unnecessary. It's not like they went in there and like pointed at everybody and told everybody to get down on the ground. They literally detained his sons, went through the house, raided the house, and then let him go.
Hostility exhibited by authorities or the way his children and employees were treated. Mr. Combs was never detained but spoke to and cooperated with authorities. Despite media speculation, neither Mr. Combs nor any family members have been arrested, nor has his ability to travel been restricted in any way. This unprecedented ambush paired with an advanced coordinated media presence leads to a premature rush to judgment of Mr. Combs and is nothing more than a witch hunt based on meritless accusations made in civil lawsuits. There has been no finding of criminal or civil liability with any of these allegations. Mr. Combs is innocent and will continue to fight every day to clear his name. And in that, Mark, the lawyer does mention these other lawsuits, and you mentioned one of the lawsuits. One of them came, I believe it was last November, and it was Sean Combs's former girlfriend, Cassie, who, among other things, alleged rape and things like that. That was settled, I think, within a day or two after filing it, but it had to do with the deadline, didn't it?
Yes, New York had this kind of unique look-back statute, the Adult Sexual Survivors Act. On the eve of that expiring, the lawsuit was, they mediated it and then settled it right on the eve of that expiration. That kind of triggered some of these other lawsuits that also jumped on right after the fact. But I think his lawyer's got a point, and it's obvious, at least to anybody who does this for a living, that those were kind of the scripts from which the Department of Justice is singing on these lawsuits.
In addition to representing Sean Combs, you also, back in the day, represented Lyle and Eric Menendez, who are the subject of a...
Oh, this is a funny one I just found. I didn't watch this yet. Let's watch this. The dude from Hardcore Pawn.
Bidenomics is so great that Americans aren't living paycheck to paycheck anymore. They're living pawn shop to pawn shop. Now, people who've never ever walked into a pawn shop in their lives are now walking in desperate. Maybe they have their engagement ring in their hand or a few rare coins a grandmother gave them. Given the high cost of food, high cost of gas, everything really is high cost. It's a last resort. People need a little extra cash just to get by. And when pawn shop store inventory rises, that means fewer buyers than sellers. Another sign that for the lowest income Americans, times remain tough. Joining me now is Les Gold, owner of American Jewelry and Loan, and you know him from the reality show Hardcore Pawn. Les, great to see you. What are your customers
Thank you very much.
telling you now about the situation out there?
Well, my customers have been telling me for years, but lately, in the last 6 months, we have more customers coming in that are desperate in need of money. They need to put food on their table, gas in their tank, and a roof over their heads. So we see a lot more customers coming in now for loans.
And is it just getting by month to month on the basic necessities that they need? Are they trying to pay off?
Yo, how crazy is it that we've come to this and people are still willing to vote for it? It's nuts.
Loans that they owe, or just food, gas?
No, you're saying month to month. You're saying month to month. Our customers, our clientele, are pawning items to make it through the week. They're not worried about the next month. They're, a paycheck may come and may not come. But they come in each and every day to pawn their items because they're in need of money, like I said, just for the necessities.
Oh, that is just a heartbreak.
That's so crazy.
Are there parts of the country that are worse off that you can kind of glean from your experience in the pawn shop world?
In the pawn business, pawn businesses are all over the United States. And I hear from all of the people that I know that are in the business, everybody across the United States is dealing with the same item, same problems. The retail isn't as good, so you need cash to give out. And there's not always that amount of cash.
What's up, everybody? How you guys doing?
You can always give out to the customer. The good thing is, pawn
David, my brother, how you doing tonight?
shops, pawning items, they're non-recourse loans, so it's not going to hurt their credit scores or their ability to get credit.
Now, tell us about the oddest things that have ever been pawned in your experience. I know it's a long list, but the audience wants to know.
Well, it's a long list, but what comes to mind first is if you remember Jack Kevorkian, Dr. Death, who did assisted suicides in the state of Michigan. Somebody came in and ended up selling me his van. So of all the things that I've ever taken in, that was the most unique.
Yeah, I've seen that. That was crazy.
Dr. Death's van.
How much you give for it?
Well, it was on the show. I ended up we made a bet. The guy wanted 40,000. I flipped him 20 or 40. I got it for 20,000. So it was still really not worth the money, but just the idea of having something so iconic, I had to make the deal. So
some more traditional or conservative Americans would say burn it. You once said that pawn shops can predict the economy 6 months in advance, but we keep hearing Bidenomics is working, the economy's getting better and improving. We've been hearing that for some time. So what's your prediction now?
Well, I see it each and every day. 6 months ago, we have two lines that come to the store, the redeem line, which is the line that people pick up their merchandise, and the pawn line, which is the line that they bring in their merchandise to get money on. Right now, the pawn line is probably twice as long as the redemption line for people picking up merchandise.
That's crazy.
So we know in advance. We're street level economy.
The World Behind movie. Early in the movie is the tanker ship going off course scene, and later towards the end has the bridge collapsing. So they tied it together. I get it.
We know what's happening way before the media does.
Les, it is both fascinating and deeply disturbing. Americans deserve better than this, but thank you very much for explaining this to us. We needed to understand this.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey.
What's up? Let's see. I love watching introducing her. Where's the newest one? Do they not let him talk to her anymore or something? Yeah, they must not let Peter Ducey talk to her anymore. I don't get it. Where's the newest thing? Yeah, today. I'm not watching the whole thing real quick. So let's see this one.
Looking for an easy. Be very clear here. My colleagues at the White House counsel's office has already addressed this, so I would have to refer you to.
Wait, what? Can't we just find the stuff from today? I don't get it. There we go. 1 hour ago.
This has been a very long brief.
Is the president concerned about the college?
Go ahead, I haven't called you. I haven't called you. Go ahead.
Thanks, Corinne. Has the president spoken with or plan to speak with those that were rescued from the bridge collapse, or to the families of those who were lost?
I know Secretary Buttigieg was just asked that question. I think it might have been one of the last questions he got before leaving here. Obviously, as I started off this briefing, our hearts go out to the families of those six people and who are now missing, and I can't imagine how hard it is for them right now. And so I don't have anything to read out to you about a president conversation or a call, but we're thinking of them, and this is a president that has always said he will be there for that family. I just don't have anything.
He can't even be there for his own family.
Anything else to share?
And the Republican National Committee has been asking those seeking employment within the organization if they believe the 2020 election was stolen, serving as an apparent litmus test for hiring. Do you have any comment about this kind of prerequisite?
Yeah, I mean, I want to say a couple of things. I want to be mindful not to comment on 2024, but I'll say more broadly, this is a president that believes in the rule of law, believes that the need to respect the officers who put.
Did you guys hear this? Joe Biden is the president that believes in the rule of law. Like they're not literally using everything in their power to attack Trump to not get him to run. What is this lady talking about?
Their lives at risk on that day, and to keep everyone safe. We saw what happened on January 6th. Some of you covered that.
Oh my God, they're still talking about January 6th.
Our democracy was under attack. We lost lives, and it is what we saw was because of the dangerous conspiracy theories. There were people, 2,000 folks, right? 2,000 people who were mobsters, who were mobs, and they were there because they didn't believe in a free and fair election, and that's why they were there. The Trump administration itself certified that the 2020 election was the most secure in our history. But yet, this is what we saw. And so we're going to continue to stand with law enforcement. We're going to continue to fight for our democracy. And I'm going to be very careful not to speak beyond that, what the RNC decides to do. All right, everybody. Thank you so much.
About the ongoing college financial aid delays for young people struggling.
Listen.
Here, hold on. Let's see. What was I going to... Oh, check out this. I made this intro. I think that's going to be my intro to my videos. What else were they talking about today, earlier? I've seen this other video about P. Diddy. Oh yeah, it was this one, everyone named in the list, I believe. Bro, they said some weird shit about Cuba Gooding Jr.
I'm getting the feeling where there's smoke there.
No, this wasn't. Dude, there's so much crazy stuff going on in the world today.
All right, James Carville, one of the most prominent political minds in the Democratic Party. He is now sounding the alarm in an interview with the New York Times. Carville saying Biden's poll numbers are, quote, It's kind of hard to get out of your mind. Like he says, it's like walking in on your naked grandmother or your grandma naked. You can't get that image out of your mind. I've debated James, know him really well, very nice guy, smart guy, but don't be fooled. He's a hardcore leftist Democrat. He's a left-winger. Carville is particularly worried about men leaving his party, and in a comment that will likely get him in trouble with the woke mob, Carville told the Times, quote, "A suspicion of mine is that there are too many preachy females. They don't drink beer and they don't watch football." Anyway, other Democrats seem more worried about third-party candidates, especially Robert Kennedy Jr. The Biden campaign is now working overtime on a strategy to attack RFK Jr. Now, of course, no one in the Democratic Party seems to have a plan to bolster, well, the vice president's terrible poll numbers. And over the weekend in Puerto Rico, the vice president, as I mentioned earlier, seen accidentally clapping along to a group protesting against the Biden administration before someone helped translate the message. Anyway, here with reaction to all of this, she is the brand new...
That was so hilarious, guys. So hilarious.
Let's see, co-chair Laura Trump is back with us. Laura, great to have you. Your reaction, they're so panicked, not only really about RFK. If you go back to the State of the Union address, if you go back to Joe's West Coast swing last week, what did we see that was consistent? Joe is trying to build back his base. He's down 22 some odd points with that with African Americans. He's, Donald Trump has now pulled even with Hispanic Americans. Suburban women, young people are abandoning Joe Biden. That is the core coalition base of the Democratic Party. What do you see?
Absolutely. Look, there are hemorrhaging voters on the Democrat side. It is a huge problem for the party. And the fact that you have the Biden campaign, when you currently have the Republican and Democrat nominees for president established worried about a third-party candidate, Sean, the alarm bells are certainly going off for them. And they're hemorrhaging all these voters because we have...
Well, yeah, I was saying earlier, right? I see Robert F. Kennedy. He picked like a here. Let's see what her name is. He picked like a far left liberal, like a super huge progressive, to be his vice president. Let's look up some videos on her. What's her name? Nicole Shanahan. She's like supposed to be like a super duper hardcore progressive. So I don't see that as a good thing or a bad thing for Trump at all. So let's see. So I don't want to watch a whole 25-minute video. Let's see if this one is. This is her video. See who this dingbat is. I think she said she used to be married to like some owner of Google.
She's a visionary leader and relentless in driving and supporting important projects to improve our lives.
Great perseverance, great leadership. Her success is unparalleled.
She is an incredibly inspiring woman who touches the hearts and minds of everyone I have seen her bring together.
Okay. Oh, great. Cross.
These men nowadays are so weak. You think dark one looks better? How do I change it? Delete channel. Yeah, I'll do it later. I can't find it. I'll find it later. What are you up to, Will?
Okay, just a few minutes ago, we talked about that big reveal out in Oakland today. RFK Jr. announcing his pick for vice president. Nicole Shanahan.
Okay.
So what are the chances they join the Libertarian Party and potentially get ballot access on all 50 states across the country? Well, Angela McArdle is the chair of the Libertarian National Committee, and she joins us now. Ms. McArdle, thanks for sticking with us this evening. I appreciate it. First of all, your reaction to this pick, Nicole Shanahan.
I found it.
Well, I graduated. Wonder what's next.
When it's time to start a new chapter, you'll find your new car on
Everybody, please make sure to hit that like
Okay, just a few minutes ago, we talked about that big reveal out in Oakland today. RFK Jr. announcing his pick for vice president, Nicole Shanahan. So what are the chances they join the Libertarian Party and potentially get ballot access on all 50 states across the country? Well, Angela McArdle is the chair of the Libertarian National Committee, and she joins us now. Ms. McArdle, thanks for...
Yo, why does this girl look like she belongs in The Hobbit or something?
Sticking with us this evening. I appreciate it. First of all, your reaction to this pick, Nicole Shanahan.
I think that a lot of libertarians are a little bit confused over why he chose Nicole Shanahan. I'm sure she's a lovely person, but she doesn't necessarily fit into alignment with any of our views.
And okay, let me press you on that. In particular, what are her views that are not in alignment, that conflict with libertarian platform?
Well, we haven't really heard her make any strong political statements today, but I know that she was a former Biden and Buttigieg supporter, and she supported Gascon, who, you know, from a libertarian perspective, is not been a good district attorney. We don't like that he doesn't seem to respect.
This is pathetic, bro.
Property rights.
Like, can I ask you guys something? With him choosing such a far left progressive to be his running mate, how does this hurt Trump at all? It doesn't hurt him one bit. Not at all.
So I'm really unsure how she's going to fit in with the Libertarian Party. You know, I'm anxious to hear about it.
Okay, well, what about the top of the ticket himself, RFK Jr.? Now, we know that he visited your convention or your gathering, I don't know what the right word is, in February. By a convention, thank you. By many accounts, it went well. He was warmly received. It's been reported that you personally have spoken with him about a possible party ticket. I know that the party gathers here in Washington on May 23rd, is it? And you can pretty much decide whatever you want to decide at this point. What is the latest thinking? What is the latest, as much as you could tell me or care to reveal, about your talks with RFK Jr.?
Certainly. Well, you know, I don't get to hand choose who our presidential nominee is going to be, but I have given him, you know, I've given him my ear several times, and to be fair, I do that with all of our presidential candidates, Michael Rechtenwald, you know, Lars Mepstad, Mike Termott, all of them. But I've explained that if you're going to seek the Libertarian National Committee's nomination for president, you've got to work to get delegates.
How do libertarians not realize that, like, never mind.
We as members don't cozy up to someone who doesn't want to make an effort to get to know us. And he seemed to understand that. You know, he came to California. He sent some people to New York. Unfortunately, I believe he had a scheduling conflict. But it really remains to be seen what he's going to do between now and May. You've got to work to get your delegates. And usually when people attend these state conventions, they are already going with who they're going to choose in mind. You know, that's why we go to these nominating conventions. We go because we want to be the ones deciding who's going to represent us nationally.
Okay, you haven't so far in our conversation had high praise for his choice. You might think she's a fine.
He hasn't praised her at all. Like, listen, this chick has been doning to RFK. That's all it is. She paid to be his vice president.
Person, but she doesn't align with your values as libertarians.
No.
Is this choice of Nicole Shanahan disqualifying for RFK Jr. To gain the nomination of your party?
I would say, yeah.
I can't personally say that it's disqualifying, but it doesn't right out of the gate seem like it's going to do a lot to help. I think that he's going to have to really show us, and she certainly will as well, that they care about individual and economic freedom in particular, and that they want to continue to be, they want to be our standard bearers. And I certainly understand, that they're not going to come into alignment with us on every single issue. And that's happened before in the past with candidates like Gary Johnson and Bill Weld. But, the appetite in the party for someone like Bill Weld right now is not very strong. We want someone who's going to be radical.
I just want to ask one final question.
What does that mean, be radical?
Who else are you looking at? Who else are you talking to? Who else could be out there? You're holding something precious and very valuable for someone with aspirations to the White House, and that is ballot access on potentially all 50 states.
That's right. So far, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is the only candidate who certainly who comes from a Kennedy family, but who has that star power. We do have a lot of candidates, though. We have Michael Rechtenwald, who was a former NYU professor who shot to fame in 2018 over being canceled, as a former Marxist, and he's come full circle as a libertarian. We have Lars Mapstead, who is also a Silicon Valley guy. He was known for, I believe, working on Friend Finder. So no other really big names that I think everybody would recognize yet, but anything could happen between now and the end of it.
This video.
Thank you for watching, and make sure you go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television.
Yeah, check this video out. Elon Musk shared the other day. Look at this. Elon Musk has been sharing all kinds of, he's starting to get it. Oh, where is it? I thought he pinned it. Guess not. All right, let's find it. Did you guys see Joe Rogan talking about cheating in video games? That's so crazy that it's gotten that bad. Dude, where is this video? I swear he just shared it. Here it is. Trump.
The Democrat open borders plan to entrench single-party rule, explained in under 2 minutes. 1. Flood the country with untold millions of illegals by land, sea, and air from all over the world, enough to eclipse the populations of 36 individual U.S. states so far. 2. Prioritize the needs of these millions of non-citizens over the needs of the American citizen, with free flights, buses, hotels, meals, and phones, ensuring their loyalty to the political party that imported them. 3. Keep them in the country at all costs, even when they commit violent crime like murder and rape. Attack the language used to describe the criminals, as opposed to the criminals themselves. Slander critics as racist. 4. Ensure their privileges are made irrevocable with city and state sanctuary laws that act as population magnets. Codify permanent status and ensure non-cooperation with ICE. 5. Count the non-citizens in the census that will determine congressional apportionment in the House of Representatives. As of now, that would equal 13 extra congressional districts, a tremendous amount of electoral power. 6. Wage a massive, heavily funded lawfare campaign to change state voting laws that legalize mass mail-in ballots, no signature verification, and no proof of citizenship requirements, making it nearly impossible to prove voter fraud. 7. Lock in the permanent voting majority with campaign promises of lavish benefits and permanent privileges, enshrining generational fealty to the Democrat Party. 8. Win elections.
And we're the brainwashed ones.
9. Entrenched single-party rule has been achieved. The best part? Your tax dollars are paying for it.
Crazy, right? Crazy. What was that guy's name? Western Lensman? I think I follow him. Yeah, I do.
into the U.S. goes down in a whopping defeat. It was 51-47. Every Republican voted for it. Every Democrat voted against it. Republican Senator Bill Hagerty out of Tennessee proposed the amendment. He joins us in studio, and hello to you. Was the writing on the wall before this thing even hit the floor?
You know, it was amazing. Chuck Schumer tried everything he could to block this until the very dead of night. We ran right up to basically a government shutdown before he finally capitulated.
I thought no one would see every Democrat.
Down in a whopping defeat. It was 51-47. Every Republican voted for it. Every Democrat voted against it. Republican Senator Bill Hagerty out of Tennessee proposed the amendment. He joins us in studio, and hello to you. Was the writing on the wall before this thing even hit the floor?
You know, it was amazing. Chuck Schumer tried everything he could to block this until the very dead of night. We ran right up to basically a government shutdown before he finally capitulated and said, okay, we'll put it on the floor. But I didn't get it onto the floor till the middle of the night, perhaps 1:30 in the morning when the vote went down. I think they thought no one would see it. No one would see that every Democrat voted to fly illegal migrants in here from countries like Haiti, Cuba, Nicaragua, Colombia on taxpayer funds.
Wow, dude. That's crazy.
Using charter flights, flying them over our border and putting them into the interior of America.
How many are we talking about, Senator?
320,000 last year. 320,000 illegal migrants in this program just last year.
Over a 12-month period.
Over a 12-month period.
This year, could it meet that number again or go even higher?
I certainly think so, since every Democrat voted to continue the process. And here's the reason they're doing it. Just 2 weeks prior to this, again, in the middle of the night, every Democrat voted to count illegal migrants in the census for the purpose of apportioning congressional districts and electoral votes. Every single Democrat voted to do that, too. We don't do that with people that are here on diplomatic missions, people that are here on vacation. Yet they want to count illegal migrants.
But does it surprise you that with some of these tough Senate races that the Democrats face,
sad.
Because it's likely that Republicans could, if Republicans play their cards right, and Lord knows they could screw it up, but they could take back the majority in the
Certainly.
Senate. Okay, so with Democrats in really tough races, are you surprised that they are still sticking together on an issue like this?
I was shocked. That was a terrible vote for them to take.
Let's take, for example, Bob Casey of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be, I mean, doesn't Chuck Schumer say, don't you want to save yourself, save your Senate seat, or Dave McCormick, your challenger is going to come after you?
Well, this is why they hold this up till the very middle of the night, thinking no one will see it. But Elon Musk posted my floor speech, and over 40 million people have seen what happened. So the Democrats are being outed. Bob Casey ought to be deeply, deeply concerned about these terrible votes that he's taken. Again, the motive behind the crime at our border is the ability to count these illegal migrants in the population so that they can hold on to their congressional districts and expand their electoral power here.
Dude, this is pathetic, bro. What is going on in our country right now is extremely pathetic, dude. So he said Elon Musk shared his speech on the floor. Let's see if we can find that. I think that was a couple days ago, what we just seen, right? Let's see if we can find his speech. What was that guy's name, actually? Maybe we could just find it on see if we can find it on here. There's not a latest button on here? Wait, let's see this.
Harbor Freight knows skill is important because on any given day, we're all.
Okay, joining us now from Senate Foreign Relations, Senator Bill Hagerty. Let's first deal with this. I'm going to call an audible. So all Senate Democrats voted against your amendment to stop the Biden White House from letting illegal migrants overseas use the CBP One app to fly directly out of their home countries into the U.S. And Senator Patty Murray, a Democrat, is saying, well, you know, the lines are too long at the ports of entry and at the border, so just fly them right in when Americans have to.
No, what is going on, bro? This is like literally an attack on our country.
Use their IDs at U.S. airports?
This is crazy.
It's shocking. They all voted, every single Democrat. Of course, they waited till 1:30 in the morning on Saturday morning till we brought this forward. But every single one of them in lockstep voted to continue to use taxpayer funds to do this. Just last year alone, Les, 320,000 illegal migrants used this program for Joe Biden to fly them into the interior of the United States. Now they don't have to cross the border. He just flies them right over the border. We've tried to get information about where these people are actually going, where they're being resettled. Of course, the Biden administration is staying mum. But I can tell you this, there's a motive behind all of it.
Oh, yeah.
And exactly 2 weeks prior, I was able to get every single Democrat in the Senate again on the record stating that we should count these illegal migrants for the purposes of allocating and apportioning congressional seats and electoral votes. You know, we don't count people that are here on vacation. We don't count diplomats that are serving here. Why in the world will we count people that come here illegally? Yet that's exactly what the Democrats want to do. This is about power. This is about backfilling in blue states where they're losing population. You think about it. New York, Illinois, California. The sanctuary cities are located right there. Manhattan, Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco. It's obvious what they're doing. It's more obvious than ever now to the American public. This is no longer a conspiracy theory. This is an outright conspiracy to flood the nation and change the electoral pool here in America.
So that would be the equivalent of 13 House seats, right? With the number of illegal immigrants coming in. Was that it?
Just since Joe Biden came in. Just the 10 million that Joe Biden has let in on his watch. That doesn't count all the other people that are here illegally, but that's what he's been doing and directing. That would be the equivalent of 13 congressional seats. And by the way, that would also be 13 additional electoral votes. I mean, if you think about the control of the House of Representatives right now, it's going to get down to one person. This really matters. Okay. If you think about how close some of our presidential votes have been, it matters.
It just feels so unfair to people who came here legally, did it the right way.
Dude, how crazy do you guys think this is, right? If you're going to come here, just come the right way. You know what I mean? Like, you can't come here and the first thing you do when you get to the country you want to live in is break the law. You can't do that, bro. That just shows disrespect to the country automatically, bro. Get out of here.
To American citizens who pay taxes. You and I have talked about this. This is representation without taxation. You know, this story, ISIS terrorists took responsibility for that massacre in Moscow. They murdered reportedly at least 139 people, wounded more than 140 by shooting at them at a Moscow concert hall. The suspects showed up in court showing signs of severe beatings. But I want to get to this point. Politico is reporting White House insiders say President Biden and his White House team no longer feel the same sense of urgency to press forward on any executive action to stop the border crisis, but at least 1,600 terrorists were caught crossing since fiscal 2020. Why are they not have their hair on fire about this?
I think it's because they're not having media coverage on the issue. They ramped up the media coverage before their fake border security vote, and that wasn't a border security bill. It was just a talking point for the Democrats to say that somehow they supported border security. Joe Biden has had the ability through executive order for the entirety of his 3-year term. In fact, he used executive orders to come and destroy the very successful policies that Donald Trump had put in place to secure our southern border. Biden is the one that did away with the migrant protection protocols. He did away with building the wall. Catch and release he's brought back. It's just amazing what he's done. And then because the media stopped covering it, they're not going to do anything about it.
Well, let's listen to U.S. Senators Tom Cotton and Senator Marco Rubio warn about this. Watch this.
You don't even have to sit on the Intelligence Committee and have classified intelligence. You can just listen to what the commanding general of our force in the Middle East said, that in as little as 6 months you could have an attack like this. And again, it turned out to be 6 days. He said it might be a little bit longer to project that kind of attack against the American homeland or the Western Hemisphere. So I'm deeply worried that ISIS from Afghanistan will end up targeting Americans sooner rather than later.
ISIS-K, ISIS-Khorasan is largely the Afghan wing of ISIS. It's reconstituted itself, as we warned would happen when we had this disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. I think we should be very concerned, as the FBI director confirmed to me, that there is a trafficking network out there that specializes in moving people. They do it for profit, moving people and migrants around the world, including across our southern border, who have links to ISIS. I think common sense tells you if they run a trafficking network of people, they would most certainly use it to move operatives into the United States. If they could do what they did in Moscow in the United States, they would do it in a heartbeat. They want to do it.
They want to do it. They want to do it. I mean, we're just a generation after 9/11, and this White House collapsed the border, where we have 1,600 terrorists caught crossing. The senior leader of the notorious and
this is literally an attack on our country from our own government.
Violent MS-13 gang. He's on the FBI's most wanted list. He was just captured at the California-Mexico border just a few weeks ago. He was more than 3 years on the run. And then you also have home invasion gangs out of South America, now reportedly in 25 U.S. states and half the country. They're coming in and they're stealing. They're all through California. They're on the West Coast. They're on the East Coast and the Northeast. They're going into houses and stealing and robbing. Those are home invasion robberies. Again, the Biden White House, do they care?
They don't seem to care, and I think these criminal rings understand exactly what they're doing. They use the federal tourist visa program that's very lenient towards certain countries like Chile, Peru, Ecuador. What they're doing is they're coming to states where they know there won't be any bail requirement, that they're very lax. Some of these states that have got these prosecutors that won't enforce the law at all. For property crimes particularly, they won't stand jail, and they're going to have to, they're going to come in, rob, and with impunity fly back home.
Well, Senator Bill Hagerty, you are standing up. We hear it.
This is crazy to me, bro. Like, what? People should not be allowed to do that. That is nuts, dude. That is nuts. I'm sorry. That is nuts.
Jean-Pierre is horrible at her job. The White House press secretary snapped at a radio host on Tuesday when pressed on listeners' concerns about Joe Biden's mental decline.
When I told a number of people that I was talking to you today, it was interesting, though. They all said, would you please just ask her, does the president have dementia? So before I move on from that, does he?
Mark, I can't even believe you're asking me this question.
She got so triggered. I wish this was like on live TV and not just a voice.
It is an incredibly offensive question to ask.
And when the host...
Why is that offensive? I don't understand it. Like, does she not watch his press conferences? What is offensive about that?
...tried to move on to another question, she was just too offended to continue.
How does Mr. Biden win votes when people don't have as much disposable income?
Look, the president understands. He grew up in a middle-class family. We are in a different place than we were a year ago on gas prices. Eggs, milk, seafood products, all the important groceries, those costs have gone down because of what the
But what she's failing to say is he was the president a year ago.
president has been able to do. And with that, thank you so much, Mark. Have an amazing, amazing day.
Wow.
Wow. But isn't it her job to answer the tough questions? It seems Biden's spokesperson has a hard time answering even the easy ones.
I'm just not going to get into specifics. I'm not going to get into that. I don't have an update for you. I don't have anything beyond that. I'm going to be really mindful, and I have to say this is a Hatch Act. I am a federal employee. I'm not going to provide any more details beyond that. I just don't have anything else beyond that.
All right, Dana, I have to go to you first. Okay, first of all, 60% of Americans think that
Bro, bring Caitlin McEnany back or whatever her name is.
Joe Biden doesn't have the mental acuity for the job.
86%.
Okay, well, my stats are wrong, that he lacks the mental ability to hold office. And also, her response was he grew up in a middle-class family in Scranton, as if that's an answer.
Well, that was about the inflation point. I just think I'm so glad to have...
It looks like an alien, right? What? Who is that?
An opportunity to talk about this for a moment, because for a presidential candidate, doing local media is the harder thing to do than the national media. The national media, the White House press corps, as you've seen with President Biden, is pretty easy. But when you go into local media or talk radio, then you have to be on your toes. You have to be prepared. Jeannie Mama worked with us in the Bush White House. She would just make President Bush listen to all of those questions, even if he had 100 other things to do. She's like, let me tell you something. They're mad about the potholes in Charlotte. So they're going to ask you about it, and he would have a good answer for it. So they're trying to do this pivot to the South, and this was a hilarious start. Were they not prepared? This same radio station is the one where Mark Levin appears. Okay, and also, I thought he was actually pretty respectable to her, asking her about gas prices. That's what people care about. And if she doesn't have a better answer to either the mental acuity or the fact that it was 86% think he's too old to run again, you think you're not going to get asked that in every single interview? You absolutely are. They know that that's the question that they're going to get. This did not serve the president well, but it really helped the talk radio host get more attention, and deservedly so. You can't hang up on them. It reminds me of this, and my last thing is, in the White House briefing room, I don't know who stopped this tradition. The press secretary was never the one who ended the press briefing. You had to wait until the senior wire reporter said, "You're done." Okay, thanks. Over time, it might have even been during the Obama administration, maybe during Trump. They would just close up the binder and walk out. That's not acceptable, I don't think, from a taxpayer-funded spokesperson. You should sit there and answer the question.
You know, Jesse, by hanging up, she confirms Americans' concerns that, you know, their concerns are not being answered by this administration. Joe Biden doesn't go out. Even his press secretary is willing to hang up on you.
It's not a classy move.
Crazy.
It's not a mature move.
It's
not a professional move. You stand in there, you take the heat. And the guy didn't come out of the gate and says, does the president have dementia? He says, this is the one thing that thousands of my listeners are asking me to ask you. So she just should be prepared to answer that question. If it's that, I believe, one of the top issues for voters. And then the top issue is inflation. So she bangs on this guy like that after what, a minute and a half? That makes them look so bad in North Carolina. Everyone in North Carolina is talking about that right now. They're not talking about the Inflation Reduction Act.
And, you know, Jessica, Trump took a mental acuity test and aced it. Why won't Biden?
Well, this mental acuity test, which included identifying animals and counting backwards by a factor of 7.
Can't do it.
And it's something they give to people that have been in traumatic accidents. So I don't know why he's...
Why wouldn't Biden take it? He's had a couple of brain surgeries.
Come on. It's embarrassing when Trump says that, and when he did like man, person, woman, camera, or whatever he said to Chris Wallace. But, you know, we sit here in a very privileged position in an air-conditioned studio and get time to think about, well, how do I want to respond to this question? But you do have that job. And this is an issue. And this topic for Biden has gotten demonstrably better over the course of the last month. Think about where we were before the State of the Union, when it was what everyone was talking about. Ezra Klein came out with that piece saying, it's not going to work, you should just resign a hero. And because Biden has been out there in the last week, he's visited
the American people feel better about Biden since he was jagged up for the State of the Union?
He wasn't jagged up, and this accusation that he was on drugs is a little absurd. But yeah, I do feel that, and it's reflected in the polling on it, how much money.
Is she a liberal or something?
He's fundraising.
He wasn't jagged up. Okay.
And the kind of campaign that he's running. He's been to every single swing state since the State of the Union. You can see it. Donald Trump has had that rally in Ohio. Otherwise, he has been in courtrooms and he's been golfing. There's a story to tell, and she didn't tell that story.
Okay.
And I don't think that...
Okay, go ahead.
And it is. Everyone who is listening, even the most diehard partisan on the other side, deserves to hear what the company line is on this. And I don't think that it's fair to the listeners and to this guy who did present the question, I thought, in a very respectful way, to say this is coming from your constituents, because she's there as an envoy for the president.
Greg, yesterday, Joe Biden said he took a train over the Chesapeake Bay Bridge. Do you think he's with it?
Well, you can't take a train over that bridge. There are no rails there. So I think he's doing fine. You know, I wouldn't have led with that question. Maybe that was the problem, right? You don't start off with that question. But, you know, you put a man out who's clearly out there and clearly in cognitive decline. It's a legitimate topic. I would have.
Like, I literally, do you guys see anything wrong with that question at all? I didn't see anything wrong with it. And I feel like it's a question that needs to be answered.
Chosen a different...
Yo, we're at 9 likes. Can we get one more to get to 10?
Way to do it. Like, he needs to, the reporter needed to layer his question with the appropriate BS that these people like, you know. It's, instead of saying, you know, I've heard, say, like, Courage up here, I'm so happy to see you on National Paella Day. You're such an inspiration for everyone, including people and women of color. President Biden is obviously at hard work, you know, trying to make sure America is safe for democracy and from the evil forces of Trumpism and white supremacy. We know how terrible that is. And how does he deal with the concerns from not just his critics and the people within his party that he has a brain made of mush? But she's so buttered up, she won't even notice it.
And by the end, she's like, oh, well, actually, sir.
Yes.
And you can watch that radio.
That's great. Let me see something. How you guys all doing tonight?
Amazing.
Hold on, muted in a second. How's everybody's night going? I appreciate you guys stopping by and hanging out. Second while I'm muted.
Ronna McDaniel is officially out at NBC, the network bowing to internal uproar, axing her just 2 days after her first appearance as a paid.
Bro, they were flipping out. Every single one of them. Fire her, fire her. These dudes, these people are just
contributor.
Mentally insane. She is too, though.
Their news chairman issued this apology to staffers. Over the last few days, it has become clear that this appointment undermines that goal. I want to personally apologize to our team members who felt we let them down. I wonder if Ronna got an apology. Seems like she deserves one. Meanwhile, a source close to McDaniel says she found out about her ouster not from NBC, but from media reports.
That's
and by
so
no
great.
surprise, the on-air host at NBC, they are taking a victory lap for silencing a conservative.
I just have to
She's not a conservative. That's a lot.
say, when somebody does the right thing, I feel like it should be acknowledged as publicly as we acknowledged our outrage. And so I know how I feel about it. I am
Who are these dudes?
grateful to Caesar for actually making the right decision. I think it was the right decision.
It's not even about hiring somebody who has Trump ties. This was a really specific
Yo, who are these dudes? For real. Does anybody know who these dudes are?
case because of Ms. McDaniel's and her involvement in the election interference stuff. And I'm grateful that
This bitch has a nicer haircut than fucking... This dude has a nicer haircut than Trump.
our leadership was willing to do the bold, strong...
This dude has a nicer haircut than me.
Resilient thing.
Companies make mistakes, sometimes very big ones, sometimes very publicly. It looks like our company listened to us, to you, and did what was right.
I want to take this big picture, Ben, and our own FoxNews.com, Joseph Wolfson, did just that. Look at this headline. NBC's ousting of Ronna McDaniel reinforces status as anti-Trump, pro-Biden network. He goes through the long list of contributors, the Obama administration appointees at MSNBC. John Brennan, remember John Brennan signed the letter, the 51 intel officers saying that Hunter Biden laptop was misinformation. You got Andrew Weissman. I think our viewers know who he is. The point is, they're solidifying we do not allow other voices.
Yeah, I think it's very clear that at NBC, and not just, let's make sure this isn't MSNBC and we put it over here on the side. This is NBC. The entire corporation is now saying freedom of speech is dead here. Conservatives are not welcome here.
They have some Republicans, but yes.
Moving forward, like the message that this is sending to anyone, are you going to want to go interview there if you're a conservative voice, seeing what can happen to you? I mean, I'm not a big person like someone should sue. I hope she sues because the damage they've done to her career, to her as an individual. You just signed on to work with this company, and then they publicly trash you, tarnish your reputation, and they have the biggest names at NBC doing this, acting like you're some radical or extremist. Because you're a conservative, that worked the Republican National Committee. This is free speech. It is dead. And I think it's very, very dangerous. I remember you and I used to be at CNN, and the last year that I was there, I was signed, and there was an article that was written that I was benched, but they signed me to have me on a list. I made 2 appearances in the last year of my contract.
Wow.
And it was during a presidential year, and the Hollywood Reporter noticed it, and they put a big story. One of the appearances was the next day after that article came out. All they wanted was a check-the-box conservative. They can say, no, we have both sides here.
Yes.
And that's what
it's the whole identity politics bullshit.
it boiled down to, but they're going to keep doing this, and they're going to ruin people's careers in the process, and I think it's wrong.
Harris, and that's a key point. Look, they do have some Republicans at NBC. I worked with Mark Short. He was Mike Pence's chief of staff. He is now there. He's a Republican, yes, and there are some others. But Ronna came as close as you could to any voice on the network that supported the current nominee of the party, who represents, according to Real Clear Politics, about half the country. So what voice represents half the country?
So that is such an excellent point. You've got Nicole Wallace, you've got the former RNC chair, Michael Steele. I mean, you have some Republicans who are there. They are all singular focused on their type of moderate, views on the party. And no, they are not in the camp that Ronna McDaniel.
Nah, man, what we need over there, what they need is a strong male Republican, or it doesn't count, because these women are just going to be weak and fold to them.
Daniel and others are in that represent more than half the country, if you take into account maybe even some independents this time around who don't like the weaponization or lawfare as we're seeing it. But at the end of the day, this doesn't say whether or not they don't want other voices. They don't want those voices. They are in the camp that anybody who thinks or speaks like Ronna McDaniel is deplorable.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay?
Yeah, but she's a rhino, so who cares?
And when you look at and the RNC compiled this, we ran it last hour. When you look at all the Democrats that questioned elections in the past, those election deniers on the left, there were quite a few. It could take you a while to scroll through or to play those montages. We played a lengthy one. So what they really want are they don't want a cacophony of voices debating the issues and rigorous debate and talk and all that. They want a lockstep Republican that they can predict and bring in a day after they issue a press release that we have Republicans on our air and move on. I'll tell you the biggest problem, and I tweeted about this last night, or X post. Their biggest problem is that became a public toxic work environment for her. She was still an employee when they were tearing her down.
Yeah.
Now, if NBC and MSNBC execs were smart, they would have warned their people, if you want angst, air it privately in the family. We'll get together privately in your offices. But they now have opened themselves up to epic lawsuit proportion. I hope she gets paid to high heaven, because
I do too. I don't even care for the chick, and I hope she sues them for everything.
It created a place where she was bullied in the public sphere, bullied in the public square of television, and degraded to the point where, it might be hard for her to get another job right away.
I think that's
we
an
don't
excellent
know.
point.
But the attorney,
it's true.
I'm sure, can make the point.
I think that's an excellent point. And I think it's important for me to say I worked for Ronna for 2 years, and I found her to be nothing but upstanding, committed to the conservative movement, and someone whose voice was credible and was a part of the national conversation. I will say, Emily, I was very troubled by what happened at the White House. I don't think it's the place for the White House to weigh in on certain personnel decisions. And I want to play something. Karine Jean-Pierre says twice in her interaction, I'm not weighing in on a personnel decision. But there are little subtle clues as to where the White House comes down on this argument.
This chick is like, Karine Jean-Pierre is like she's an extraterrestrial.
I find to be beneath the office of the president. Let's watch.
Hi.
I gotta mute this, guys.
Any comments on that person, on a person
of the president? Let's watch.
I'm not going to make any comments on that person on a personnel decision, but as more broadly speaking, it is important. It is a burden on all of us here, right, to be really mindful about that, and that the public understands what the facts are and what the truth is.
Well, so you're quoting the president talking about that kind of burden. I mean, does this White House?
Yeah, we're at 10 likes. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. How you guys all doing tonight? No one's talking. If anybody wants to see a specific video, I'll put something on. It don't matter.
House, does the president believe that kind of voice, that voice like hers, that there's room for her in the national political discourse?
I mean, look, I'll answer it this way. We saw what happened on January 6th.
The exchange went on for about 2 minutes. But I think the White House press secretary should have said, I'm not commenting on a private sector personnel decision. We're working on the business of the American people.
Of course, but that would mean that they actually are, which they're not. She's always quick to shut down any question about Hunter Biden or anything that doesn't please or serve the commander-in-chief, but this she was happy to weigh in on. What else would you expect from an administration that loves pressuring social media accounts as well to get their message out there? Quick point on what Harris said. So the camp immediately, Rana's camp immediately came out, those associated with her, that said, yes, absolutely. Not only was this mad defamation of character, but it was also a hostile work environment because they were her colleagues. The issue, even more than her being terminated, was that the talent was allowed to drag her through the mud for that brief interlude when she actually worked there, and that was sanctioned and blessed clearly by the executives. They cast her as an enemy of democracy. She will be laughing all the way to the bank when they are forced to pay out her full contract, which is $300K each year. That's $600K, which she got basically for working for 30 seconds. So bravo to her, but it's not without pain. And to your point, if there is hostile work environment or defamation associated with it, there's going to be a lot more punitive damages on top of it. So NBC, I hope, being an invertebrate platform was worth it to you.
Leslie, I love having you on the
Bro, I will take $600K for 30 seconds worth of work.
couch. I really do. I love, you represent a half of the country that I think deserves a voice. And I think it's important for news stations to endeavor to bring both those voices there.
That's awesome.
Well, I think it's very important. I mean, I'm sorry, people sometimes say to me, they get angry if I don't agree with them. What makes our nation great is that we don't
I thought that was Ronna McDaniels for a second.
all agree. We don't want to be North Korea. We don't want to be Iran. We want to be the United States of America, okay? I feel this was handled poorly, and I'll tell you why. Look, every network, you guys are at CNN, I'm here. There are people that they like better than others because they view some people as more extreme, perhaps, and they do want to have that person who's more moderate or maybe who's not argumentative or whatever the category is they come under. I feel that NBC shouldn't have hired her in the first place, and before hiring her, they should have sat down because I could have predicted this was going to happen, and I'm not an NBC executive. I'm sure they knew there would be threats of boycotts, anger amongst the viewers, anger amongst the people, especially in MSNBC. Who are the host. I don't know why, and I think they should have done that. I do agree with you.
Because they're ignorant, dude. They're just a bunch of freaking pink-haired liberals.
They are, but before they brought her on board, because she is going to walk away with, depending on the contract, between $300,000 and $900,000, and they have opened themselves up to a lawsuit. So I don't think it's wrong that they let her go. I just don't think they should have brought her on in the first place. And if they did, they should have sat down and said, okay, this is what we're thinking. This is what we're going to do. Let's all play nice. And this is why we're doing it.
Give both halves of the country a voice. I think the American people are served when that happens.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno.
I will say that about Fox. They do hire liberals. They have some liberals on their thing. Let's see what The View has to say. They're talking about Trump. They're talking about
Tech ODT.
Let's watch it. Oh, this is going to be great.
And this, I feel, is really moving. And so I want to bring it to your attention. As millions of Americans observe Holy Week leading up to Easter Sunday.
Calm down, Harvey Weinstein.
Yes. You know who decided to announce his latest business venture. Take a look.
I'm proud to be partnering with my very good friend Lee Greenwood. Who doesn't love his song, God Bless the USA, in connection with promoting the God Bless the USA Bible. All Americans need a Bible in their home, and I have many. It's my favorite book. It's a lot.
I want to see something really quick, guys. Do they just give Bibles away or something? I mean, am I tripping? Don't you have to buy a Bible? Yeah, like, I'm so confused what their point is. What is their point? I'm looking at it right here. The Bible's for sale. Look, sale, but you can't just go to a store and they give you a Bible. That's not how it works. These people are just so delusional.
A lot of people's favorite book. I'm proud to endorse and encourage you to get this Bible. We must make America pray again.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, I don't know what it. Anybody.
The last time he was on his knees, he was looking to pick up a French fry.
Fucking cackles.
Yeah. Or a burger. Please. By the way, Michael Cohen, who went to jail for him because he was behind that whole thing with Stormy Daniels and now turned on Trump as he should. According to him, Trump once told him that pastors are, quote, unquote, all hustlers. And that after returning from a 2011 meeting with pastors who laid hands on him, he said, quote, "Can you believe that BS?" unquote. This is hypocrisy at its most religious.
It's pandering. It's pandering. It comes on the heels of him.
It's pandering. Yeah, we already know. You guys know how to do it the best.
Deciding that he could get the black vote by producing golden sneakers. Please. Or do you guys remember?
No, that wasn't what that was about.
Remember the unforgettable tweet about the taco bowls? That's all. Where it was Happy Cinco de Mayo. The best taco bowls are made in Trump Tower Grill. I love Hispanics.
So what? He thinks the best tacos are made at his grill. Who wouldn't think that about their own grill? That's called promotion, dummy.
There's that. So when I see that Bible, I can't help but think of Tim Alberto, you know, the author who was here when he talked about you can either choose a strong man and the sword, or you can walk in the path of Jesus. You can hold a Bible, you can quote 2 Corinthians, you can avoid the 10 Commandments because they do not apply to you. Thou shalt not bear false witness, thou shalt not be an adulterer, thou shalt not steal. You can do all the things, and I won't quote you on it.
So now can you ask Whoopi Goldberg about Harvey Weinstein, please?
But you do not walk in the path of Jesus. He is he is not an example of what I'm taught in church.
I love what he says is my favorite book. He didn't even read the book that he wrote, The Art of a Deal.
He didn't even write the book.
He didn't even write it or read it.
He's selling these for $60, and I'm a Christian, and as soon as I heard that price
You're not a Christian.
tag, I think of the persecuted church, Christians
You're a rhino Republican. You are not a Christian. Sorry, lady.
around the world who risk their lives to have one page of the Bible to be able to read scripture in places like China, Saudi Arabia, Syria, where you can't practice your faith openly, and he's using it to profit off of. Like that tells you all you
how
need to
come
about
they don't
the man.
see through this is what I want to know.
Well, and I would say like a Franklin Graham, what do you think of that? You endorsed
No,
him.
what it is we see through you guys.
That you think that's
you know, it's Holy Week, and so I cannot say what I would like to say.
Well, can I just quote that there's an
What happened to her hand? She has a cast on.
old saying, and it's a historical saying, that, and I'm not sure who said it, when fascism comes to America, it will be waving a flag and holding a Bible. Take a look.
Yep.
What's her name?
Where is it? There it is. There it is.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
when
pretty-
I love
fascism
that
comes
picture.
to America, it will be waving a flag and holding a Bible.
Yeah.
That is what we are looking at right now. Remember that in November.
It's blasphemous.
It's so many things this year. It's not even worth it anymore.
I wear a few different hats as CFO. You know, sometimes it's referred to as chief.
We'll see what else they have to say. These people, I don't want to snap, forget that. What's that chick's name? Yo, what up, Mike? How you doing, bro?
Hello, everyone. This is outnumbered. I'm Emily Campagno here with my co-hosts.
Bro, did you see, Mike, that RFK picked his vice president and he picked like a super far left progressive? I'm doing well, bro. How about you? Doing very well.
Kayleigh McEnany and Harris Faulkner. And also joining us today, Fox News contributor Leslie Marshall and host of the Ben Ferguson podcast and co-host of the Verdict with Ted Cruz podcast, Ben Ferguson. Now we begin with the Democrats in a panic mode as they scramble to save President Biden's re-election hopes from the threat of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Shortly after RFK Jr. named his vice presidential pick, frantic Democrats hopped on a phone call, blasting the third-party candidate. They referred to Kennedy as a, quote, spoiler, and his campaign as, quote, dangerous, claiming that if he's in the race, Biden will lose and Trump will win. According to Axios, the Biden campaign has already started going on offense, assembling a political machine.
What is that, Mike? Send me a link. I'll put it. We'll watch it on here for a minute. I'm going to stay on here probably till another, like, 20 minutes or something.
Just to attack RFK Jr. And the DNC is building a team to take on third-party candidates who stand in Biden's way. Critics are ripping Democrats.
I'm telling you, man, I keep telling people, bro, this whole RFK getting in the race and then him picking this far-left Democrat, bro. Listen, no Republican is voting for a far-left liberal. I don't care what anybody says. I didn't see any of that, Mike. That's crazy. Bro, I'm telling you, this is not going to hurt Trump. This is going to help Trump.
For trying to silence third-party presidential bids and, quote, kill democracy. Kayleigh McEnany, the question is, will their successes or will their attempts be successful? And do you deem RFK Jr. as big of a threat to them as they deem him to them?
No doubt about it. And RFK Jr. became the biggest threat to Joe Biden yesterday. Look, I had taken us through polling that shows RFK can take from both parties, can take from both candidates. I brought up recently the CNN poll.
Not after who he picked for his vice president, though.
In Michigan, it shows Trump loses 2 points with RFK in. But then you go to Pennsylvania, Trump gains 2 points. Well, Paul Begala, a Democrat strategist, wrote this about yesterday. RFK Jr.'s VP pick is a missile aimed at Biden. He went on to say RFK Jr. has ended the debate as to who RFK hurts, because the selection he has made for VP, she is a tried and true Democrat. She's donated to Democratic causes. I think it is fair to describe her as progressive. That is permission for anyone unhappy with Joe Biden to come on and vote for that ticket. The challenge for RFK is this: can he get on ballots? Politico reported earlier, actually it was CBS that reported, in Nevada he's collected 15,000 signatures, but there's a nuanced rule. Oh, you have to have named your VP candidate. Well, he just did that yesterday. So officially, he's only on the ballot in Utah. If he can get out of the ballot, he's a threat to Joe Biden. And last point, just Trump tweeted out, I love that RFK is running. That was yesterday. So there you go.
There you go, Harris.
Yeah, and Charlie Hurt last hour really loved that Trump went after his policies, because he did. Biden didn't say anything. He was very quiet after that DNC call where they all jumped on and went, oh my gosh, the water's high and it's hot and we can't swim. So here's why he picked her. And I was reading about this in USA Today. He said he liked her for her commitment. When you watched the speech yesterday, he talked her commitment to
everybody, if you haven't yet, please make sure to hit that like for me.
Health and organic foods, and deep inside knowledge of how the technology industry uses artificial intelligence to manipulate the public and identify government abuses. He also wanted an athlete. He said, describing Nicole Shanahan, as an avid surfer and a softball player in her youth. He wanted her, he said, to be a gifted administrator, an acquiring mind.
Everybody knows that she was just funded his campaign. He had to pick her.
Mind. Someone to
Appreciate it, guys.
to be open to changing her opinions, and a deep love for the United States of America. And of course, you saw him. We've been running it all day long. She's 38. He also wanted somebody younger. And that's not just oppositional to Biden. That's oppositional to Trump on some of those places, too. So they both stand to lose if this guy gets on battleground state ballots. Now,
is that the girl that's in Curb Your Enthusiasm, Larry's ex-wife? That looks like her.
Intensity among Trump voters, though, still out-Trumps everybody else. I mean, if you love Trump, you love Trump. Biden doesn't have that comfortability among his base. They may vote, but they'll vote for issues.
Maybe we'll talk about that like tomorrow or something. Maybe I'll do a stream tomorrow.
More, and Leslie can talk more about this. They're more issue-based. It's not a love for Joe Biden. With RFK, it remains to be seen. It really does. We don't know yet. But a pick like this, she's a woman. He never mentioned that, though. He picked all those other. But if you're a Democrat, you're going, oh, wait, even having a woman doesn't necessarily help us against all of that.
Yeah, and Leslie, I wanted to flesh out with you exactly what Harris touched on, which is sort of the why behind the fact that it's a threat to Biden. And an interesting CNN op-ed.
That lady who RFK's wife, that was his wife, right? Pretty sure they were standing together like they were husband and wife. I think she's in something. I think she's in Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Today from a former Clinton strategist, he said it's exactly those reasons. She's a gold star donor to the Democrat Party. So there's no cleaving any voters away from Trump. Number one, because they're so loyal, as Harris pointed out. And number two, because there's no mistaking when a ticket says Kennedy, this analyst argued, coupled with a big time donor that checks a lot of boxes important to the Democrat Party, then the case is clear. It's actually an excellent alternative and therefore the threat. What do you see?
Well, first, I love it hot, Harris, and I can swim really well as a Democrat.
Too bad you're not running. They may have to recruit you.
I'm sorry, Kayleigh, I actually agree with a lot of what you said, but I don't about the VP pick, and this is why. Full disclosure, when I saw Jesse Ventura, some other names out there, I was like, uh-oh, because voters love name recognition, and we know that. And within Silicon Valley and within our political circles, she has name recognition. RFK is the name and is the name recognition. And the polls have been showing that he pulled away from Trump, and the polls show now there seems to be a switch and he's pulling away from Biden.
Oh, you're talking about the VP. I was talking about his wife. Yeah, the VP, she was married to a Google co-founder.
I got to see poll after poll after poll. And when you look at the battleground states, with the exception of the two that Kayleigh mentioned, there is just not a lot of three-way race polling, a lot of battleground states. And those are the states that, as a Democrat, concern me as a strategist. When I look at those numbers, I want to see those numbers and more of them. And then lastly, I know people think that, Democrats are scrambling. Everybody's concerned about a third-party candidate. Anybody's concerned in a race this close, because you're talking 3 or 4 percentage points. 5 gets you over the finish line.
Yeah. Ben, you know who's concerned? Who's real concerned? It's your boy, President Obama. He's nervous, apparently, according to the New York Times. Out with this article, Obama, fearing a Biden loss to Trump, is on the phone to strategize. Obama's on the phone, y'all. That means the Democratic Party is afraid.
They're concerned, but I would also say this. Republicans need to be very vigilant to make sure that voters know who
they need to be afraid
who he is. And I had a caller in my show that was like, look, I kind of like this guy. I liked him during COVID, and he was going for conservatives back then. Remember, he was talking about the COVID lockdowns. He was talking about, all the mandates and kind of talking conservative-esque and reaching out to conservative voters. And I said, let me just go through the list. The guy's in favor of the Green New Deal. He's in favor of no new urban housing. He says he wants the government to cover interest rates on homes anything above 3%, which would be the largest expansion you've ever seen in this country of government subsidized housing indefinitely. You get a 30-year loan. He's like, yeah, anything over 3% the government should cover. Wow. That's an extremist. He's a socialist. He also wants to gut the military. And then finally,
listen, here's what doesn't she has the money I've seen that. So here's the crazy thing about what RFK is saying, right? Somebody still has to pay for that. We're still going to be paying for it in taxes. Like, what is this dude talking about? If you buy a house and you signed a contract on the interest rate, you are liable for it. And that's that. I don't care what anybody says. That's that. I bought my house. I signed my thing for the interest rate I got. I got my house refinanced, got a lower interest rate. I signed up for that, and that's what it is.
He said he wanted to jail climate deniers in this country. So I say that to conservatives, or maybe those that are not like hardcore Trump guys or gals that are looking like, who am I going to vote for? Don't be bamboozled. This guy's more extreme. and his liberal ideology, I would argue than Joe Biden is
And
when it
you didn't
comes to
mention the
these
life issue.
Correct.
The life issue. There's one pro-life candidate in the race, and that matters a lot to conservatives. I get it could be a vulnerability in other ways, but to conservatives, you got one choice.
Yeah.
And Ben, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for pointing out to Democrats why they should stick with Biden and not go with.
Hey, I love that you guys are fighting out, but I worry in these polls. I've seen what happened with Perot. I remind people, like, you have to have your messaging clear, and you can't just be excited because one poll says that, hey, this is going to hurt Biden more than it's going to hurt
I
Trump.
don't think anybody's hinging it on one poll, but what they are looking at, is the fact that now we know what to watch for.
Bingo.
Because he's got a running mate. I will say this. In this election season, I was the first journalist to sit down with him here at Fox. He sat in that very tight mezzanine table with me. And when I said, are you a Republican? Are you no longer a Democrat? What's going on here? He didn't have anything unkind to say about Biden except for it wasn't his time, and he would love to debate him.
This dude is he's a liberal.
But what he did.
Don't let people lie to you. Don't let them lie to you.
Say mattered, and it's in conjunction with what you say. He's a Democrat.
Bingo.
So he wants to get on a ballot somewhere, and he wants to get on a ballot in a battleground state, and it won't be as a Democrat. It'll be as a third party or an independent. But he's a Democrat, and you just read his bona fides.
Whew. Heat it up, guys. Hey, everyone. I'm Emily. Attack.
Wow. Yep. It's true. It's damn true. Okay, I'll definitely check those out. Is Newsweek on here? Videos. Let's see. What is this one? How come I can't find that video on here? Solar eclipse gives Alex Jones a new conspiracy theory. Okay, that's because it's on the website. Let's go to their website. Here, let's see. Maybe we could just find some stuff on here. Here's a video. How are you going to have a 1-minute ad?
For people who want to get a closer look at next month's total solar eclipse.
I did hear. So I did hear something about this, Mike. Me and Josh were talking about this the other day.
You have the proper eye protection, like the eclipse glasses. And as you look at the heavens on April the 8th, when the eclipse starts.
Isn't it supposed to be like one of the most powerful eclipses ever or something?
Please, please put those glasses on.
This could end up being one of the most watched solar eclipses ever, with more than 30.
I ain't looking at that shit, bro.
With the upcoming total solar eclipse on April 8th, we're talking about how rare this type of event is today. Our total solar eclipse is rare. Well, on a global scale, Not really. There's about one every 18 months or so. They can be as frequent as just a year apart. They can be about 2.5 years apart. Kind of it averages in that range. They're actually just as frequent or more frequent than total lunar eclipses. The difference is the size of the shadow. The Earth's shadow, which is what we're seeing on the total lunar eclipse, is way bigger. Half the globe can see a total lunar eclipse when the moon turns red. A total solar eclipse, you need the moon shadow, and that's way smaller, only maybe 100 miles, 200 miles, 300 miles across at the most. So people who see total solar eclipses, that's a lot more rare. They happen a lot all the time, but usually only a few people see them, or they're over the ocean or that sort of thing. So for example, here are 7 total.
So they're saying the one in 2024, it's going to hit like this, right? So it's going like right across Ohio.
Solar eclipse paths that have crossed the U.S. since 1950, including the one that's upcoming in 2024. One of them you can't see because it was actually out over the Pacific Ocean, so the only state that saw it was Hawaii. All right, so you can see a lot of the U.S. over the past, several decades has never experienced a total solar eclipse. This path here is going to be just southeast of Iowa. You look, the last one that actually that touched Iowa was way back in 1954.
Dude, that's crazy.
If you miss this one, if you're not going to travel down to Illinois or Missouri or something like that, you're going to be waiting a while for the next one. There's going to be plenty more in the next few years, but they're all going to be over the Indian Ocean, Europe, the Mediterranean Sea. We're going to be waiting 20 years for the next one here in the U.S. 2044, I should say. One starts up in North Dakota and then goes up into Canada, and then another big long one.
That's crazy. Look, so we're not going to get another one for another 20 years in the United States, and then we get 2 of them right back to back.
Crosses the country in 2045. So yes, these happen fairly often, but do they happen close to where most people are? Not too common.
Let's check that out, Mike. I'll give this channel a follow, whatever. So what is that? That's governor.ohio.gov. He's such a tool bag. I can't stand him. So let's read this, chat. Is it this one? Yeah, right here. Wow. Okay, so Governor Mike DeWine signs Executive Order 2024-04D to assure Ohioans the state is well prepared for the total solar eclipse on April 8th, 2024 that will cross a 124-mile wide band in the state of Ohio. So it's going up. It seems farther than 124 yards, right? Or 124 miles. Oh, wide. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm like, wait, it's going up. That's like 500. Okay, so wide, dude. 124 miles wide, bro. That is crazy. So here's what he said. The safety and well-being of Ohioans is always at the forefront of everything we do, said Governor Mike DeWine. We have been preparing for the April 8th solar eclipse for several years to ensure this once-in-a-lifetime event can be safe and memorable for all. What? The executive order directs all state departments and agencies to be ready and prepared to ensure the health and safety of all Ohioans visitors before, during, and after the eclipse. Ohio Emergency Management Agency is coordinating the state's preparation and response to the event, and all law enforcement agencies are prepared to respond with necessary personnel and resources to assist local law enforcement in contributing to the safety and security of Ohio residents and tourists. They're acting like somebody's invading the country or something. So what is the order? Only 21 solar eclipses have crossed this lower state, 48 states during the existence of the United States of America. The last total solar eclipse visible in Ohio was 1806, and the next total solar eclipse was 2099. How do they determine these things, bro? The event is expected to draw hundreds of thousands of visitors to the state. The influx of visitors they're just trying to they're using it to drop illegal immigrants off in Ohio. That's all they're doing. Travelers are urged to arrive at the city and stay late to avoid the heaviest traffic. No, leave. Don't even come. Can we just ban the solar eclipse so they don't come? Travelers are urged to arrive early and stay late to avoid the heaviest traffic. Additional preparation resources available at eclipse. Jesus Christ, there's a whole website for it and events surrounding. Ohio Emergency Management Agency. What the fuck? Preparedness kits for the vehicle, including likeness, snacks, drinks, cash, cell phone charger, and blankets. What is going on? Why is this an order? What? Motorists should top out their bro, like, come on, dude. Are we like living in fucking Dunceland or something? What is going on? And charge your electric vehicles. I mean, bro, this is just common sense. What? It's also a good idea to have a family communication plan. Is this in the order, or I'm so confused? What? What is, I don't understand the executive order about this. Be aware of weather conditions. Well, no shit. We're going to have a fucking eclipse in Ohio for the first time since 1806. Of course the weather's going to be different. Bro, what is this? The Ohio Department of... Do they just, like, make executive orders for anything? This doesn't make any sense. The Ohio Department of Transportation will be fully staffed during and after the eclipse. What? Shouldn't they always be fully staffed? What are you talking about? I'm so confused. Like, I feel like the thing to put in this executive order would to say they will be overstaffed to compensate for the extra people coming. What is going on, dude? Bro, Mike, this doesn't make sense, bro. It makes zero sense to me. I don't understand what is this executive order about? Okay, so the Ohio Department of Transportation will be fully staffed. Yeah, that's stupid. They should always be fully staffed. The agency is treating the solar eclipse like a major traveling holiday by restricting road work and reducing the size of active work zones as much as possible to accommodate the extra traffic. Dude, if you drive down 117th right now, it's like a third world country, bro. What are they talking about? Just get the work done. Finish the work a little when you're supposed to. Bro, they've had this bridge closed down for like freaking 3 months, and it's got the traffic ridiculous on 117th. Dude, this is crazy. Roads are expected to be congested. Well, no shit, there's an eclipse coming here that people are coming for. What is the executive order in this? I don't see it. No, I get it, but like, bro, what is executive about this? This doesn't make sense to me. Did he just write this just to write it? Like, you literally could have just said nothing. What? The Ohio Turnpike, why is this in the I don't get it. I just don't get it. This doesn't make sense. But like, what? I don't understand this. Due to the potential for cell phone service interruption, why is that potential? I don't understand it. Aren't these towers strong enough to handle everybody's phones in the area? I get it, bro, but it's like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, I feel like things like this are known. Like, did they feel like they had to say it just to say it? Yeah, bro, but listen to this. Listen to this, Mike, right? Troopers will be highly visible and ready to assist motorists in the days leading up to, during, and following the eclipse. Isn't that their job? What? I don't get it. Stopping on the side of the road or exit ramps for non-emergency is strictly prohibited. That's something that I'm cool with being in an executive order, right? Telling people if it's not an emergency, do not stop, right? I'm cool with that. Consider factors like traffic and travel time. Establishing this doesn't make sense to me. But all this is like, this doesn't look like an executive order to me, Mike. This looks like a fucking pamphlet or something, or just like a basic guidance. Like, all this stuff is just common sense, right? Hold on. Okay, so Ohio State Parks and Wildlife Areas will provide a great backdrop for the astronomical event. Bro, maybe they're trying to catch giveaways. That'd be funny, bro. Yeah, dude, there's something in here that's just weird that I'm not seeing, because it doesn't make sense to me. This isn't an executive order. I don't know who told Mike DeWine that this was a frickin' executive order, but it's not. This is not an executive order. This should be like something on like a website for the eclipse on like what to do and what not to do. Like, that's, I don't know, it's just weird to me. I don't get it. I don't get it. Yes, I am Barron Trump, the future US president. Bro, he is tall as shit, dude. He is like 6'8", they said. Wait, what?
Fox News alert, very sad news to tell you about. Former Senator and Vice Presidential candidate Joe Lieberman has died at the age of 82. His family says it was after complications from a fall. Lieberman was an influential senator who served for 2 decades. He then...
Dude, you're probably right, Mike. You're probably right. Dude, they made it so Mike DeWine made an executive order for the solar eclipse, right, Josh? But like, everything in the executive order is like just common sense. Like, it's like telling you like look, bro, right? Let me find it again. Hold on. Right? So he literally writes in this executive order. Look at this. All right, Ohio State Patrol. Troopers will be highly visible and ready to assist motorists in the days leading up to, during, and following the eclipse. Does that not just isn't that just common sense? Like, yeah, no shit. So you're telling me the cops are doing their job? Thank you.
And went on to be Al Gore's VP in 2000, making him the first Jewish candidate on a national ticket. Dana, what do you think?
Well, this is shocking news, sad news, and somebody who was
Water
a
is
real
wet, bro.
patriot.
Water is wet. Water is fucking wet.
Bring the country together.
That's hot.
Willing to serve his country, is a very faithful person, and he was helpful in helping everybody in America understand the importance of supporting Israel. And most recently, obviously, since the attacks on October 7th. And he really wanted to try to figure out a way to unite the nation, and his impact in Washington and the country.
Man, oh man.
You wonder why AOC got sucked into this thing? This ridiculous Instagram, TikTok dope. I mean, here she was yesterday talking about tax the rich and slicing lemons on the Instas. Also, she's very much in favor of the Hamas. She kind of likes them. They're kind of cool. Why? They would kill her first opportunity, by the way. In any case, here was AOC yesterday promoting her democratic socialist ideals. Like, well, oh my God, like here's a lemon and I can slice it and it's like a citrus. Ooh.
Shout out to my radicals who think that maybe one way that we can deal with a lot of the shortfall that we have is to do things like legalize marijuana and tax the commerce on that so that we can fund our schools. Or, I don't know, tax the rich. Maybe we can tax the rich. So that people who have
Tax you sloot bag.
helipads on their house or near their house can help chip in for...
If you shake your head like AOC, it makes...
What do you mean? They earned what they got.
Intelligent. It doesn't make you look like a doofus from the valley circa 1997. If you go like...
She's a sloot bag. Let's see if she has said anything today lately. I don't get it, bro. Yeah, they do. I mean, regardless, bro, even like say like the owners of Walmart, right? Look how many people they employ in this
about
country.
your speech, and they say we are allowing hundreds of aid trucks into Gaza every single day. They're trying to increase those numbers.
Here, you know what? We'll go to the CNN one because I don't want to hear the Young Turks right now. Yeah,
Joining us now to talk about Trump's deadline in New York tomorrow and much more, New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a Democrat. Congresswoman, thanks for joining us. So 5 years ago, as a brand new member of the House of Representatives, you grilled Trump's former fixer, Michael Cohen, about whether Mr. Trump had lied about his finances for tax purposes. Attorney General of New York, Letitia James, says that testimony directly led to her office's fraud investigation and this $464 million penalty, this bond Trump has until tomorrow to post. If he does not post that bond, do you think the state of New York and Attorney General James should begin seizing his assets? And are you at all concerned?
You already know what she's going to say. She's going to say, yeah, take all his stuff.
That doing so could actually
like a little fucking gremlin.
Lend him political support, feeding into his narrative that the deep state and Democrats are out to get him unfairly.
Well, you know, I think Attorney General James has been handling this case with...
Dude, Josh, look how triggered she is right now. Oh, she's so pissed.
Tremendous skill. It's ultimately up to her determination, but it is my belief that all people should be treated equally under the law. And
did I sound like her? That's great.
If that seizure of assets would be pursued to
take all this stuff.
Any other American, then Donald Trump should be treated the same. As far as the political implications go, I think that what we are dealing with politically is the much larger and much more grave and serious pressure of having this judgment against Donald Trump and him being in this degree of debt and the financial pressures that he is under and what he is subject to do in order to obtain those assets. I actually think that that there is risk in not seizing these assets and the open window.
Did you hear what she just said? She just said, I don't want him to fucking run. So take all this stuff.
That exists in him trying to secure these funds through other means. We've seen a lot of interesting transactions happening with Truth Social and other means, and there's a very real risk of political corruption. So,
Yeah, no shit. On the Democrat side right now. What are you talking about?
Again, I respect the Attorney General's discretion here, but I do think that he should be treated equally under the law.
Do you think, well, let me put it this way. What do you say to an independent voter or an average voter who looks at what's going on with Donald Trump?
This is the same chick, right, who just said RICO is not a crime. So, shouldn't Trump not be getting charged in Georgia right now? If it's not a crime?
Trump, you have his assets might be seized tomorrow. You also have the hush money case from the Attorney General, the District Attorney Alvin Bragg of New York. You also have the Georgia case about election interference. You also have the special counsel investigation on election interference. You also have the classified documents case down in Florida. That's 5 cases. And to a voter, what do you say to a voter who says, well, that doesn't look like he's being treated equally before the law? That looks like somebody that the government is going after.
Has there ever been a president, Republican or Democrat, that has been subject to this level of criminal charges, indictments, and investigations? This is not about party. This is not about politics. This is about corruption and
yeah, you guys are corrupt as shit and you're showing your hands.
Criminality. We're talking about an individual who ordered essentially a terrorist attack on the capital of the United States.
That's a lie. You need to, somebody should be telling her, like, hey, you can't, I think Trump needs to sue her. You can't say that.
In order to retain power. That is not about being a Republican. It is not about being a Democrat. It's about being an unethical and individual who is subject and prone to criminality. And unfortunately, this is the state that we're in. And I actually think that the fact that it's happening in so many places and so many jurisdictions cuts in the face of that. This is not just New York. This is Georgia. This is federal courts as well.
So in the House of Representatives, House Speaker Mike Johnson is facing a real revolt within the Republican conference after passing the government funding.
Bro, they're like complaining about all this Trump saying bloodbath, and they took it completely out of context, right? And then there's just so many videos of them saying the same thing throughout the years. It's just, these people are just weird, bro. And like, what it is they try to play in the media tries to play into people's emotions. It's just annoying, dude. Like,
bill this week on Friday, Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene announced a call to vote to remove him as Speaker, a motion to vacate. At some point, she says, Republicans are about to be down to a single-seat majority. Some Democrats are saying they're going to vote if the motion to vacate comes up. They'll vote to keep Speaker Johnson as Speaker to avoid additional chaos. How would you vote?
Dude, it's
bad.
You know,
I think that Democrats, we work as a team. I am not inclined to vote for a Speaker Johnson. I'm not inclined to vote for an individual who, for Speaker, who doesn't believe in women's rights, doesn't believe in rights to bodily autonomy, who has supported overturning a presidential election. My vote would most likely be for a Speaker Jeffries, which becomes an increasingly
wish Obama beat it, dude.
Likely reality day after day as Republicans pursue further midterm resignations. But, you know, I think for those of us and for any Democrat inclined, I don't think we do that for free. And I don't think that we do that you know, out of sympathy for Republicans. And I think that, you know, the realities of governance are there. We want to make sure that governance continues and that responsible governance continues, and that generally tends to happen under a Democratic majority.
You gave a very forceful speech on the House floor Friday about the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. You called on President Biden to cut off U.S. military aid.
I just wish the Republicans cared about America as much as the Democrats hate America.
To Israel. I think we have a clip of part of what you said. Let's roll that.
What kind of fucking commercial is this?
what an unfolding genocide looks like, open your eyes. It looks like the forced famine of 1.1 million.
No, Mike, when a Jack in the Box that was in a community, we'll look it up in a minute. It was either a Jack in the Box or it was, what's the other one? No, I'm pretty sure it was Jack in the Box. Bro, closed down because people were getting robbed in the parking lot, like stealing from the man. It's just
Million innocents. We must write our story in this moment of what it means and who we are as Americans. And our story must be not that we were good men who did nothing.
Now, clearly, not enough aid is getting in. Clearly, the conditions for the Palestinian people are horrific and much more needs to be done. Genocide is a word that has serious and specific connotations and allegations. It's defined by the intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethnic, racial, or religious group. So you, just to clarify here, you believe the Israeli military, the Israeli government are actively trying, they intend to destroy the Palestinian people, and not that what's happening is horrible, but it's happening because Israel is going after the terrorists of Hamas who attacked them on October 7th, and Hamas embeds within the civilian population?
Well, Jake, you're absolutely right. This word is extremely serious.
He asked her a question. And she just said, "You're absolutely right." What? I'm like, wait. Dude, she's delusional, Josh. I love it. She's a comedian, bro. I wouldn't mind, like, debating her, for real.
Serious. It's one that's taken with extraordinary gravity, and
I'll literally sit here and smoke and laugh and debate her, dude, and still probably outwit her.
to me, the threshold of intent is a high one. It is a serious one and is not one that is made lightly. However, when we look at the precipice of what is happening with a forced famine of 1.1 million Gazans, where multiple governments, NGOs, and even officials within the United States State Department have stated themselves plainly that the Israeli government and leaders in the Israeli government are intentionally denying, blocking, and slow walking this aid and are precipitating a mass famine. I believe we have crossed the threshold of intent. It is horrific. I think it is extremely clear and it is extremely important that all people understand the difference between people and their governments.
Yeah, bro. It's
Israelis
crazy.
and the Israeli government.
Here's my thing with them, Mike. You know, I whatever's going on over there is on them. You know what I mean? When one country walks onto another country. Yeah, bro. I just look at it like this. Whatever's going on with them is going on with them. I wish everybody well. I don't want to see anybody innocent die or get harmed or anything. But at the same time, we got enough problems going on in our country. We can't worry about any other countries, you know. We shouldn't be funding the war at all. This is just my opinion, you know. Anybody could have their own opinion. But my opinion, I don't think we should be funding it at all. It's shitty. Everything that's going on over there is terrible, but we don't know what's real and what's fake.
From Hamas. But what we are seeing here, I think, with a forced famine is beyond our ability to deny or explain away. There is no targeting of Hamas in precipitating a mass famine of 1 million people, half of whom are children.
So I asked Israeli officials about your speech, and they say we are allowing hundreds of aid trucks into Gaza every single day. They're trying to increase those numbers. They have to inspect the cargo to make sure no weapons are getting in, weapons that would be used by Hamas against the people of Israel. They also, Israeli officials also argue, this war could end tomorrow if Hamas freed the hostages and laid down the arms. Do you disagree?
I do disagree.
Now, is that true? I don't know if that's true. If that's true, if all they're saying to Hamas is free the hostages and just put your guns down, we'll put our guns down and we'll let it be. I'm cool with that. I'm almost. Lebanon too, in the lower parts of their country, they push in, live, and make new borders. Yeah, you never know, Mike. You never know, bro. Like I said, I don't really care. I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't like that we're funding it. It's stupid to me that we're funding it.
Because when we are talking about famine, the actions of Hamas should not be tied to whether a 3-year-old can eat. The actions of Hamas do not justify forcing thousands, hundreds of thousands of people to eat grass as their bodies consume themselves. We and the Israeli government has a right to go after Hamas. But we are talking about a population of millions of innocent Palestinians. We are talking about collective punishment, which is injustifiable. And the excuses that the Israeli government is giving about what they are and are not allowing simply do not square with what the UK government is stating, with what international aid organizations are stating, and even what our own State Department officials are stating, which is that.
Well, that's one thing Trump said. He said if he becomes president, he's going to NATO and telling everybody they got to pony up.
They are not allowing aid.
We can't just protect everybody around the world and at least not get paid for it. You know what I mean? Like, what? No.
Aid to go through. When they're talking about inspections, we're talking about U.S. aid, the United States aid. And so I think that if we are to operate as allies, then we must operate in good faith to uphold the principles of democracy, which includes respect for human rights, and also proving the value of our democracy, which is that we are different than authoritarian and we are different from other types of regimes with no.
Bro, I seen a thing. Alex Jones asked Rabbi Shmuley if he had a kosher butt plug.
Say something nice about the Jews. Can't you say something nice before you end? Is there anything nice? Do you like my suit? Do you like my tie, my beard? Is there anything nice you could say about Jews?
Hold on, that's not it. He asked if he had a kosher butt plug. Here it is.
Let's talk about the reality. You just said that the Jewish people battle pornography. You're the guy on Howard Stern doing all this wild stuff. You're the guy in videos you release yourself. It looks like your grandson or some kid that you're table dancing on, grinding on him. You're grabbing, I think it's your granddaughter's or a little girl's breast. You're talking about my penis on air and just now that my penis is small and all the rest of this stuff. And you're sitting there, are a famous guy for being, let's just say, wild. I wasn't going to raise the fact that you got kosher dildos and butt plugs. I would ask her, are you wearing one now? And then you tell me, do you have a butt plug right now?
May I answer?
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Butt Plug.
May I answer? Okay.
Do you have a model called the Holiness? Let's talk about the reality.
Yo, you called him Mr. Butt Plug. We're going to repost that. That is hilarious, dude. So funny.
Regard for innocent people.
Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, thank you for joining us.
Listen to her, though. I'm going to get off after this one. You got to listen to this. AOC, Rico is not our crowd. Bro, this is so delusional. This chick is.
Assalamu alaikum.
Can I like make it to where I don't see ads like this? I don't even speak this language. Why is it coming up? Yeah, there you go. Oh no, wait.
Fani Willis stay on the 2020 election interference case.
Listen
The
to this
attorney
chick say that it's
exposing
not a
Fani
crime.
Willis and Nathan Wade's affair made the case for disqualification yesterday on this show.
I definitely think she could be disqualified. We've got this new commission in Georgia that's hopefully looking into this, and they could disqualify her. There's a lot of other avenues that the judge even outlined in his order. Lots of other people are looking at this. She's facing re-election. She's got 2 opponents right now. So there's a lot of other checks and balances that are in place. Plus, more information can come forward, and we are continuing to investigate.
Let's get into our own investigation with more information from Fox News legal analyst Greg Jarrett. Good morning to you, Greg.
Good morning, Steve.
Okay, so the judge yesterday said that the
Okay, here we go.
Right. Now, some of the charges involving Mr. Trump down in Georgia are RICO related. I'm sure you saw this exchange yesterday between AOC and Tony Bobolinsky. Listen to this.
What is the crime, sir? Specifically.
Why is she so pissed?
You asked me to answer the question. I answered the question.
No.
RICO, you're obviously not familiar with. Corruption
Excuse me,
statute.
sir. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. RICO is not a crime.
What?
It is a category. What is the...
No, it's not. RICO is a crime with a bunch of different categories into it.
Category of crimes.
Okay, let's turn to you. Is RICO not a...
I want to see this. Hold on, guys. This was so funny, dude. It's only 15. Okay, here we go.
Is it your testimony today that you personally witnessed President Joe Biden commit a crime?
I believe the fact that he was sitting with me while I was putting together.
Did you witness the president commit a crime? Is it your testimony today?
Yes.
And what crime have you witnessed?
How much time do I have to go through it?
It is simple. You name the crime. Did you watch him steal something?
Corruption statutes, RICO, and conspiracy.
What is it? What is the crime, sir? Specifically.
He just told her.
Wait, you asked me to answer the question. I answered the question.
No.
RICO, you're obviously not familiar with. Corruption
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. RICO is not a crime. It is a category. What is the
It's a category of crimes that you're then charged
You
under
have charges.
A long 100.
You have charges. Sir, please
Want me to name the exact statute under RICO?
Yes.
Well, it's funny. In this committee room, everyone's not here. There's over 18
All right, sir. I reclaim my
lawyers
time.
that went to law school.
I
I'll leave
reclaim
it
my
up to
time.
you guys
Okay,
to
thank
define
you,
the
sir. I
statute.
reclaim my time.
Bitch is a fucking.
The future of your business.
Bro, look at the bulge. I know he's. Gosh, these people are characters, bro. Yo, we need one more person to hit 100 views on the stream. That would be beautiful. Staying on until that one more person comes in and then I'm out of here. No, I'm just playing. I am getting off in a second, though. I do want to try and get it to 100. Bro, said RICO is not a crime. Yo, RICO is not a crime, bro. What? I just want to watch it again. I'm sorry.
Mr. Bobolinsky, I heard your opening statement. It's submitted to the record, part of our proceedings. I have a quick question. Simple. Is it your testimony
He threw a football over the mountains.
today that you personally
I know, dude.
witnessed
It's so
President Joe...
He's just like, yeah.
Joe Biden commit a crime?
She's pissed.
I believe the fact that he was sitting with me while I was putting together a
Did
business
you
deal.
witness the president commit a crime? Is it your testimony today?
Yes.
And what crime have you witnessed?
How much time do I have to go through it?
It is simple.
I think
You name the crime. Did you watch him steal something?
Hold on. We had a. Was it this one that we watched?
Mr. Bobulinski, your testimony.
I think it was this one.
President Joe Biden commit a crime?
No, it's not.
I believe the fact that he was sitting with me while I was putting together a business
Did you
deal.
witness the president commit a crime? Is it your testimony today?
Yes.
Dude, where's the one we just watched? Was it this one?
You can't always plan when you'll need a gun.
I think it was this one.
That you personally witnessed
Yeah, it was this one.
President Joe Biden commit a crime?
I believe the fact that he was sitting with me while I was putting together a business
Did you
deal.
witness the president commit a crime? Is it your testimony today?
Yes.
And what crime have you witnessed?
How much time do I have to go through it?
It is simple. You name the crime. Did you watch him steal something?
Corruption statutes, RICO, and conspiracy.
What is it? What is the crime, sir? Specifically.
You asked me to answer the question. I answered the question.
No.
RICO, you're obviously not familiar with. Corruption
Excuse
statutes.
me, sir. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. RICO is not a crime. It is a category. What is the
category of crime?
Yo, he's just looking like, what the fuck? Yo, that is hilarious. Yo, I was watching this documentary earlier. Do you guys know who Tommy G is? Maybe we'll watch this tomorrow on stream. He did this thing called "It's the Journey of Fentanyl Through America." He's like, this shit's better than cable. It's so funny, bro. Yo, we're at 101 views. Let's go. So I think I'm gonna watch this tomorrow on stream. It was a really, really good video. It's crazy, bro. And if you guys don't follow him, you guys should definitely go subscribe to him. I'm subscribed to him on my other channel, but I'll do it on this one too. Bro, but this video though, Mike, it is a good one, dude. It is a really good one. Do you guys watch who else is there? Brandon Buckingham. He's another good one I watch. Like, he just did Life in the Most Dangerous Hood of Puerto Rico, harassing rich people in Harvard. And Drinking with My Grandpa in Baltimore, dude. He does some good ones. He did one where he went to January 6th and interviewed people there. CG, so you need a DT news, Josh.
Online.
Tonight, the New York Post is reporting that alleged victims of Diddy.
I said there was a channel that was called CG News. You need a DG News. I'm gonna have to check
have been
him out.
talking a lot.
I've never heard of him, Mike.
And we're hearing a lot of people in Diddy's orbit, names you know, are very worried. Derek Parker is a former member of the NYPD's Rap Intel Unit, and he joins me now. You had dealings with Diddy back in the day. What was that like?
Well, I dealt with him when he had problems with assaults, and he had the shooting at Club New York back in those days. So I was probably the detective that was assigned to go out and investigate what happened at those particular locations with Steve Stout with MTV and with the shooting at the New Yorker Club.
Now, the word is that he had his girlfriend at the time, J-Lo, smuggle the gun inside the club. He never caught any charges for it, but his boy went down. Now you see him at the top. I mean, billionaire, all the hits. He's mentoring everybody in the business. But there's some sinister things happening under the surface, according to this lawsuit. Did you see that coming?
Yes. When I saw the payoff with Cassie, and I saw that come out and how that was quickly taken care of, I knew things were going to come after this. I knew that there were going to be other people that were going to follow in line, or people that he had past relationships with.
That's crazy, bro. It's like a little trickle-down effect. Gang members are weird. Yeah, that's what Brandon Buckingham and Tommy G does a lot too.
That we're going to probably come forward and bring up allegations of his conduct and things that he's done.
When you hear about the sex trafficking, the hidden cameras in every room, the narcotics, paying off law enforcement, the affiliation with gangs, how do you interpret that?
Well, that's an allegation that someone else made about what happened.
Right.
The guns and the narcotics and things like that, these things happen in this business. It's out there in the hip-hop world. I mean, I've come along a lot of cases where I've had rappers involved with drugs and guns and things like that. So I'm not surprised by that. But the government took a big step in waiting on this to come out and do this. They had this planned. Believe it or not, this is planned. I think even tonight, Diddy's girlfriend, Young Mommy, was caught distributing drugs, or she's been labeled as indicated in the federal report as supplying drugs. They count and paying people off. So this is only the start of this investigation. Your search warrant, now this comes out, now there's going to be other things that's going to come out.
Why do you think the feds waited this long? Because this has been going on, according to these complaints, for a long time. What triggered this? Did he cross someone?
Yes. What happens is that the feds have developed cooperators, people that were affected by him or had some ties with him where they had some criminal activity, and they came forward and they give information. So the feds wanted to go in and they wanted to gather everything they could so they can present a tight case, and that's what they're doing right now.
This is going to be a tight case.
Man, that's crazy. That is crazy. I didn't know that his chick got picked up for selling drugs. What? Who is Young Mommy? All right, I've seen that. I don't see anything on her. Damn, that's crazy. That is crazy. So he got arrested. So his boy got arrested too. No, from Chagrin Falls? Holy shit. I don't care about that. I want to... I want to see hers. I don't care about. Okay. So it says it was on CNN. Okay, here we go. This guy's. Here's a little something about the white dude. Oh, that's him? That's the guy from Chagrin Falls?
Amazon delivered, a woman visited, a private guard guarded. A more typical day at Sean Diddy Combs' Star Island properties. Done for the moment, the federal agents who served one of 2 search warrants here, part of a criminal investigation by the Southern District of New York. Agents took electronics, including a silver MacBook Air. The raid simultaneously at his homes on Star Island and in L.A., as Combs himself was preparing to fly out of Opa-locka Airport, but not on his private plane, which had already departed for Antigua. It was at Opa-locka that one of his entourage, Brendan Paul, was arrested for having cocaine in his bags. Paul is also named as a drug mule and payer of sex workers in this scathing, explicit 70.
Well, hold on a minute. So we got, let's back up a little bit. Sean Combs. I think that's his son. Is that his son? Ethiopia Habitat. Lucian Charles Grain. Gorham. Chalice Record Studio. So they're suing record studios and record companies? Okay.
Explicit 73-page lawsuit against Combs, his son, and a roster of associates by music producer Rodney Jones. Last month in it, Jones unspooled allegations with photos of sex abuse, sex trafficking, drugs, violence, threats, a quote enterprise, establishing one of the locations for it as Combs' Star Island address. Based on timing, this civil lawsuit and at least 5 others last year where women claimed they were sex trafficked, one as a minor, may be what federal prosecutors used for Monday's search warrants in this criminal investigation.
That's crazy. Okay, here's a New York Post thing. How do you have a 30-second commercial on a 43-second video? That's crazy. Wow.
Two of rapper Sean Diddy Combs' homes were raided in connection to a federal human trafficking investigation. His attorney is now accusing the government of a witch hunt.
Yeah, that's what Mike was just saying. This is my buddy Mike, Josh. He played Call of Duty with us before. He was just saying that he's from Chagrin Falls.
New TMZ photos show the moment federal agents confronted Diddy at a Miami airport Monday. In the photos is Combs' alleged drug mule who was arrested on drug charges. The raids come after several sexual assault lawsuits were filed against Combs.
This is a great way to kind of deliver a shock.
Dude, that's crazy to me. I don't like what? Crazy. Leak video. Oh, look, and this was 2 months ago. Dude, that's crazy. What? Oh, man, it's just getting even more and more into it. This was a good one. Him and David Pakman. That was a great one. These are all good. All right, guys. On that note, I'm going to end it. I really appreciate you guys stopping by, hanging out with me tonight. I'll see you guys later. Have a good one. Peace.